Okay. No, you didn't miss it. Um, I'm trying to figure out how to get my signal together in this hotel room. I don't have a great signal in this hotel room. So anybody who came to the last one, um, I had to reschedule or restart it. I couldn't do it from my computer because I don't have a cell phone signal on my computer. And so at least I have a cell phone signal to back up the shitty hotel signal on this. So that's why I had to reschedule or restart this. Um, but because I'm on my phone, now things look a little bit different. So I have to make sure that um, this works the same. I just figured it out on my computer, so now I'm trying to figure it out on my phone. If you if you want to ask a question on video, you can click on the link that I just posted in my community tab. I think I just posted it in my community tab. So uh, that's how we're gonna do that. And let me know if you don't see the link in my community tab. I can try to repost it. I'm gonna look in my community tab to make sure that I see it. Hold on, hold on. Mhm. Let me turn my damn volume off in this. Community tab. Okay, so listen, I'm gonna start answering questions from the comment section. Um, and if that doesn't work for whatever reason, then we'll try something different. Link to the community tab. Okay, so if you see a link in the community tab, click on that. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see me. Um, we back. We back. Okay. So let me make sure. Let me make sure. Use mistake. Lost you. No, you didn't lose me. I'm just trying to figure some stuff out. Like the first 5 minutes of this is just me trying to figure some stuff out. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna go over to YouTube and make sure my settings are correct. The screen might go black, but you still should be able to see me. If not, it'll just be about 30 seconds. I have to make sure my settings are correct. Okay. All right. Y'all good? Okay. This is weird. I told y'all yesterday when I put that post up, I'm trying to figure out StreamYard, and I just figured it out on the computer. Somebody helped me that knows a lot about it. But then for whatever reason, my Wi-Fi password didn't allow me, or my Wi-Fi access point is just so terrible that it doesn't allow me to post or have a stable enough connection to do this online like I want to on my computer where I can see everything. So just give me a couple minutes to get my stuff together and then we'll jump into things. Hold on. Come on. Oh, hold on. Okay, so if you okay, we got somebody. Boom. So if you want to answer a question, if you want to ask a question on video, you can definitely do it. I'm about to start answering questions in the comment section. If you want to ask a question on video, click on my community tab and click on the link in my community tab so I can see you and you can see me and we can talk. Somebody tried to get on last time, but then the signal messed up, so that's why we started over. Anyway, jumping into this, because we've been on for 4 minutes and it's been all technical difficulties. Um, let me see, let me see, let me see. Hello, 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 hello. What dating advice do you give or do you have for a single 50-year-old woman? Um, I mean, that could be a lot of different things. I'm not sure exactly what you're going through, what you've been through, what you've attempted. what your decision-making patterns are, what your experience has been totally. But dating for a 50-year-old woman is a little bit different in the fact that usually you won't have the same innocence, in any man you choose. Most men at this point have been tainted or damaged or disappointed or hurt or abandoned in some way, or even they've even done a lot of those things. And so when you're dating and you're mature, you have to realize that you're dating a dirtier demographic of men. Not dirty because of choice, but at this point life has beat them up, and so they can be a lot more cynical. They can be as immature as young men, but sometimes they are what you are, a person who is mature and settled and wants more from their relationships. So it just depends. I don't like to pass judgment on guys because they're older, but you will encounter more men who have failed at more relationships, and a lot of times that's habits, that's patterns, that's practices. That's a guy not deciding to work on his shit, to get his stuff together, to be in a relationship or to provide a relationship for someone that is healthy and conducive to the mental health of both parties involved. So just knowing that, realizing that you need to figure out why people's relationships have failed up until the point that they're 50. Right, that's valuable, because if you haven't gotten it right by 50, something has contributed to that. Right, your best case scenario at 50 is he's been in a long-term relationship and it finally fizzled out, or he was married for 20 years and it finally fizzled out, or 15 years. Those types of things you can get around. But if he's been married 4 times, if he's been married 5 times, or if he's been dating his whole life and never really had a whole relationship and a serious relationship at 50, you're dealing with someone who doesn't who's not equipped to handle relationships. And so it just depends on why he's still single at 50. That needs to be taken very seriously by you, as it should be taken by him, as it pertains to you. Why are you single at 50? What is your experience? What in your experience has led you to this place? That's valuable. Let's see. For whatever reason, I don't see the comments. Let me see. Hold on. I'm trying to figure out why I don't see the comments. And let me look at the comments to make sure that everybody can see the comments, because I can't see all of the comments. Now I'm on my phone because no, you can post your questions on YouTube. This is a YouTube stream. You can post your question. Somebody said, do we have to go to StreamYard, or can we post our questions on YouTube? You can post your questions on YouTube. That's not a problem. The problem becomes if you want to ask a question on video, and it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get a question on video. Not a lot of people are willing to ask a question on video, so that's that. But also so many technical difficulties. Let me see. When I get back to my house, I'm going to do a StreamYard live, and I have a beautiful signal at my house. I don't ever have any interruptions, and so it'll be easier for me to pull this whole thing off. I was just trying to figure out how to get into it, because I want to change the structure of my lives from text conversation with me and the audience to video and text conversation. So that's what we're doing. This is just an experiment. Somebody said, Kev, is it a good idea to give an ex a piece of your mind or forever hold your peace? It depends. And I think I'm going to do a video about this even this weekend. Too many people I know are having 20 and 30 last conversations, 20 and 30 closure conversations. Every time I talk to a client that likes to keep going backwards, they tell me, oh, well, I just need closure. And every new subject matter, every new conversation needs another conversation for closure. Be honest with yourself, Lisa Bradford, and any woman in her position. Have you already given yourself closure? Haven't you had enough closure conversations? Does it really matter who gets the last laugh or says the last word at the end of the day? Like, I think that we do ourselves a huge disservice trying to figure out how to get the last word and how to get closure in situations where it's not really relevant. It's not valuable, and it only feeds our need to stay connected to that person. And so, if you're looking for closure, that's cool. But if you're looking to just stay connected to that person and have one more conversation, you're not doing yourself any service. Like you're not helping yourself. So that's one of those things that I wouldn't contribute to if that's what's happening. So do what you will with that. But I'm not positive that you need a last conversation because your ex likely doesn't care. They likely can't change what happened, and all they can do is tell you they're sorry and try to make you feel better, which in turn will make you feel more connected to them or reconnected to them. And that's what a lot of people are looking for when they're looking for closure, is they're looking for an opportunity to reconnect emotionally by getting the response they've always wanted from their ex. And so I would say hold your peace because nothing changes what happened and made them your ex. So if they're your ex for good reason, who cares about closure? Closure is a figment of your imagination. Antoinette F, love and respect, Antoinette. She said, love and peace to you and your family. My question is, have you thought about playing matchmaker among your followers? It seems like you have some truly quality men that follow your channel. I do have some quality guys that follow my channel. I would like to concentrate a bigger subsection of more of those guys. So I think I wish I could get every guy in my comment section or every guy in my channel that follows me to kind of raise their hand so I could identify them. Now, it should be noted that just because a person watches my channel, whether they are male or female, doesn't mean they are a quality person. And they might be great intellects in the comment section. And I don't want to, I don't even know if pessimize is a word. It's going to be a word today, then. I don't want to pessimize your outlook on on dating here. But a person can be a wise mind in the comment section, but wisdom is what you do. Wisdom is not what you think or believe. So just be very careful that you don't assume or make assumptions about the women or the men in my channel, in my comment section. I have noticed a very consistent pattern among men I would think to be quality, right? That's all we can do is think and hope, which is one of the reasons why it hasn't been at the top of my list. Because while a person could be amazing in the comment section, it could be a great mind or form a great character of themselves in the comment section, sometimes we don't know what's wrong with these people, or we don't know what they're battling, or we don't know what they're challenged by. And unless they go on a reality TV show where they're looking for love, and you kind of get the cameras in there and see what they're doing, you don't really realize it. I like to watch this show called Married at First Sight with my wife. It's like our favorite show. I was gonna start doing responses to it on this channel. Even I'll think about it. Maybe next season I'll do it. But we love that show. And the beautiful thing about that show is like we watch. They show like the person's interview before they start the show. They start documenting this person's experience as they get married to a stranger and things of that nature. And they come into it willing, ready, desperate, lonely and enthused about having somebody. And very soon, I mean, it don't take but 7 or 8 days for most of them to get very comfortable in their newfound relationship. And whether or not that person is a stranger or not, you start to see some really weird and or off-putting attitudes, patterns, habits, and practices in these people. And you realize, oh, okay, you're a really nice person, you're wonderful, but you're not necessarily equipped for a relationship. Right? And it takes some observation uh, for a while, some extended observation to really be able to look at a person to see, oh, you have a relationship skill set. You are okay, or your flaws aren't damaging. They're just inconvenient. I can deal with that. But a lot of people are, put on a public self. We all have three selves. We have a private self, a public self, and I can't remember what the third one is. But we all have these three different identities, and some would even argue we have more than that. But specifically for this conversation, the private self and the public self, right? The public you is the wisest, sharpest, most intellectually savvy, most good, most kind, most warm, most vulnerable. All of these different things. Maybe not vulnerable for some people, most guarded. But the public self that we all have is the best version of us that we can muster at the time, at any given time. And what happens is in these comment sections, um, a person's public self is on display in the comment section. Right? A person's public self is on display on their social media. Like my public self is on display now, right? And as much as we can be genuine, as real as we can be, right? People can be as real as they can be. They're not showing you all the ugly that exists in them, right? Like they don't show you their propensity for violence or their lack of patience or You don't get a glimpse into the last time they cursed someone out or talked down to someone or had a moment where their ego was bigger than the room. Or you don't get these things, right? You only get the finished product, which is their presentation of self. And again, while somebody can be very genuine, and it's not to say or assume that everybody who's presenting themselves online or for people in general are being fake, it's not about being fake. It's just you don't have the complete picture. And so one would hope that the men and the women in my comment section are equipped for love and relationships. But there's something holding most people back from having successful relationships, and they've contributed to those relationships. Even if they had terrible toxic partners, they've contributed to those things. Right? If you failed at relationships, you have to figure out how you failed at relationships, what you contributed, take accountability, and then actively change those things. Right? So yes, I would love to play matchmaker. I'm actually still looking forward to it. I want to start my own dating app where we do more of a good work in finding men who are serious about relationships instead of just chasing tail, right? And I have some ideas about that. I've spoken to a couple of app developers about that. Apps are expensive to start. One day I'll start one. I hope to start one. The market's pretty saturated, but I think with my following, maybe I'll be able to get a couple hundred people, matched up. But even so, you just never know what a person is doing and saying and being behind closed doors. So I would love to play matchmaker. We do have some quality guys in our comment section and in our audience, and we also have some quality women. But every woman that jumps in that comment section talking about what she's given to a man and what she's been through, and all of them women aren't innocent or good partners, and definitely all the intellectual men you might see in any comment section, because there's not very many in my comment section, but all the intellects that you might see in my comment section aren't necessarily as gentle or docile as they appear to be, or leader or whatever. So I respect the guys and I talk to the guys. When those guys write me, I hit them back first, just because I love having the male audience, because it not only validates what I'm saying for good men, the type of man I am, but it also allows me to reconnect with them and make sure that I'm also serving their needs through the service that I provide for women. So it's important for me to obviously stick to that, and be there for those guys. And I think that most of them are who they say they are, but it's just something that we all have to be aware of. People on the internet are different. That's why a 50-year-old man might be single or a 50-year-old woman might be single, because people play games, and people present themselves any kind of way. Somebody said, is it possible to redeem yourself after you've been called clingy, desperately toward the guy I was dating? I don't know. I think that it depends on the level of forgiveness or dismissal a person can apply to your relationship. It's possible to redeem yourself with a forgiving person, with a person who understands evolution and human behavior, especially as it pertains to what's induced by anxiety. Anxiety induces a lot of goofy behaviors and unsavory things. But if that person doesn't have an understanding of human behavior or respect for the vulnerability that's shown through a person kind of breaking their cool, you might be difficult to redeem yourself. So the answer is yes and no. It's one of those things where it depends completely on that person and their capacity to forgive, to look past, to move on, or to allow someone to evolve. Sanja Teal, love and respect. Thank you. She says, shalom. 90 days is usually the max that a person can fake. Most people can't hold up the facade much longer than that. Yeah, I think 90 days is a long time. And as a maximum, it's a good place to start thinking about a maximum. Most people can't hold up for much longer than that. But, if you dealt with some real ridiculous, heavy, legitimate, because everybody's not legitimate, but if you've dealt with some legitimate narcissists, it can be a rough one. It can be extremely rough, and some of those narcissists are very capable of putting up the facade until you say I do, or putting up the facade until you move in with them, or things of that nature. And I don't want to boogeyman these guys. I think one of my biggest issues about just the dating atmosphere in general is that we really boogeyman these guys. We make these men deities, supernatural villains, and they're just human. They're just ass wipes. That's what they are. Right? So yes, a narcissist can be very dangerous, but man, they are human. They are ass wipes, and that's what they are at the end of the day. And if you just don't give them what they want, eventually they find another target, or they try to break you. But you got to be for you. You got to defend you. And so, yes, 90 days is the max for most normal people to bullshit you. But some people are particularly talented. I'll say that. Some people are very talented and they are more into the acting art of it all than just tricking people for a little bit to get something. So, you got to be careful. And again, they're not boogeymen, they're not supernatural. You can defeat them, they are not deities. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. People like, you never met them. You're not qualified to say that because you've never been abused by them. Listen, I can tell you that if you get the fuck away from them or you kill them when they try to beat the shit out of you, like I said, you got to be willing to go all out for yours. Like it's a reason why there's not as many men being narcissistically abused as women, and it's because men have a higher propensity for a violent protection of their personhood. Sometimes that's what we need. Women, I always tell my female clients that, man, if you feel unsafe, if you feel like you've gotten yourself into a place where pretty girl, I can't, hold on, let me see, I'll try to look at it on here. If you got yourself into a place where you don't feel safe or you think that that man can hurt you, you need to be willing to hurt a man to protect you. I think that there's a line between being feminine and being docile and being safe and just being unwilling to do what it takes to protect yourself. I'm gonna make sure I live. I'm gonna make sure I make it home. I'm gonna make sure nobody whooping my ass, and we're gonna get to this at whatever level of violence needs to be gotten to protect me. And that's just where I'm at with that. And unfortunately, unfortunately enough, sometimes that's just something that people aren't willing to do, and so it puts you in a position where someone can rule over you when you're not willing to protect yourself to the lengths that they're willing to abuse you. And it's not the victim's fault. I'm not saying that these women should, this is their fault that they're taking shit. What I'm saying is you need to be figuring out how to protect yourself from whatever threat they pose. Beyond the stars, so much love and respect. Thank you for the $5 super chat. No question. I just see a super chat. And Golden Goddess, thank you so much. She said you're doing awesome work out here. Salute. I appreciate you. But yeah, so yeah, like I said, 90 days to Sanja's point, 90 days is pretty much the limit for most people. And I don't think they're counting. I don't think they'd even get to 90 days, to be honest with you. But if you spend enough time with someone, you start to figure out who they are in real life. But like I said, women, just on that point of narcissism or abuse or anything, a lot of y'all are watching music videos and being pretty and doing all of these different things. Whatever you're doing, the frivolous the frivolous use of your time. Some of you need to be figuring out how to get some self-defense training. Some of you need to be figuring out how to use a firearm. Some of you need to be figuring out how to protect yourself. You can always just be entertaining yourself, even watching YouTube all the time. Excuse me, I think I'm coming down with something else. It's been a sickly season in my house. Take me some water. All right. It's been a sickly season in my house. I've been battling cold after cold because my son keep bringing stuff home. But yeah, I think it's important to make sure that you are putting yourself in a position to where you can protect yourself at all times. Somebody says it's asking for advice, betrayal, disloyalty, or disrespectful. I'm assuming you're meaning asking for advice to handle your partner or in your relationship behind your partner's back, like asking somebody else. No, I don't believe it's a betrayal. I think that asking for advice from qualified people or people who love you, people who are either paid to be in that circle or people who are expected to be in that circle. I think that it's valuable. It's valuable to get advice, especially if you. And I'm gonna get to. I got you, pretty girl. I'm gonna get to that question. My wife's sending me a question. Beyond the stars, you coming up next. But I don't think it's betrayal or disloyalty. I think betrayal or disloyalty is the way you speak about your partner, right? So if I say, well, I'm having an issue, and I talk to my best friend like Jesse. Now, I'm not one who normally brings my issues to anyone, but that's just because I grew up in a different household. I'm the person people come to. I'm not the person that goes to people. It's just the role that I've developed in my life. When I was younger, I would people please more, but now I'm less of a people pleaser. I'm more of a just a genuine helper. But even so, I'm not formed a habit out of getting people's advice. Um, but with that said, I don't think it's disloyal or disrespectful as long as as long as you're being respectful to your partner. You're talking shit about your partner. You're jumping on Facebook telling the world your issues, or you're talking down to your partner in any way that's unflattering about them and insinuating things and letting people think certain nasty negative things about them. That's disloyal. That's disrespectful. That's betrayal. But if you about your partner with reverence and respect, and you just acknowledge issues that you're having with people who are appropriate, who are supposed to be or considered to be in your circle, or people who are paid to be that, like a confidant, or like a dating coach or something like that, I don't think that's betrayal. I think you're just trying to figure out how to move about things. And so, no. Let me see. Beyond the Stars, sorry for the delay. Um, Pretty Girls sent me this question. She said, "As a young girl of 17, I really appreciate your channel and my greatest respect to you. How do I build myself? How do I build my self-esteem back after an older guy has constantly criticized me?" You need to first of all get rid of the source of criticism, not because criticism is bad, but because criticism should be constructive. And if criticism is just criticism, it's not used to construct you, it's used to deconstruct you, right? And so when you're looking at criticism from any source, what is the purpose? What is the intent? If the intent is to deconstruct you or to humble you or to break you down, right, to make you more subservient, easier to deal with, docile, meek, if that criticism is weakening you and it's not empowering you, if there's no light at the end of the tunnel, if there's no empowerment mixed in with that criticism, if there's no observation of the great things that you have and all you're receiving is criticism, then you're being manipulated with that criticism. People use criticism to manipulate. People use criticism to demean and to dehumanize people from the inside out. So if an older guy has done that, he knows he's dealing with a younger woman who doesn't know how to take criticism and will probably fold herself into a pretzel to be perfect, and she'll never be perfect, and he holds the key to her validation. If a person has the power to validate you, then they have the power to invalidate you. That's too much power for any one person to have. So if you're 17 years old, one thing I need to tell you is you stop trying to deal with these older men. A lot of times women attach themselves to men because they want to feel established. So they attach themselves to a man's status because they want to feel established. And when a woman is younger, a man's status isn't his finances, because everybody has more money than a 17-year-old girl. A man's status is his age. And when woman becomes older, a man's status becomes his finances. That makes a woman feel like it's like you 17, you feel established as an adult, dealing with adults, dating adults. So it makes you feel more like a woman to date an older man. And people always say, well, women mature faster than guys. No, they don't. They mature in different ways, right? The guys might decide that they want to participate in adulthood later than women, and women might be 2 years in front of guys on doing their best impression of adulthood. But if you look at the decision-making patterns of young girls, there's nothing mature about that shit. It's play school, it's preschool, it's Power Rangers at best. Women don't mature faster than guys; they just mature in different ways. And that's that they're doing their best impression of adulthood sooner, and they are connected to their emotions and their adult emotions a little bit sooner. But their decision making is as elementary as it gets until they get some life experience. In fact, a lot of women don't mature until they're 30, and they've been beaten down and abused by man after man after man, used by man after man after man, or they've had kids by guy after guy. They don't mature until they don't have another choice sometimes. And so I think that individuals, can mature at different rates, but the idea that a man or a woman is more mature because they are a man or a woman is ridiculous. Even so, if an older guy, back to your question, Beyond the Stars, if an older guy is seeing to it that you're being criticized on a regular basis, and that's his habit, that's his pattern, and that's his practice, you need to understand that his intention is to gain control through that criticism, right? Because you seek validation, you start to become way more subservient, and you become way more obedient, and you do exactly what you're told just so you can get praise, so you can be revalidated because he's invalidated you. You need to get the fuck away from that person. That's what you need to do. You're 17. I talk to women who are 67, finally getting out of a terrible relationship, been getting their ass knocked around for 50 years. I talk to women who are 42, who've been in an 18-year relationship, been getting talked down to and mentally and emotionally abused for 13 and 15 years. You don't have the type, like we think we got more time than we got. We don't. If you're 17, the best thing you can do for yourself is learn not to take shit and have healthy relationships. Right? That takes some introspection. That takes some self accountability. That takes responsibility. But if you can give yourself healthy relationships, you'd be light years ahead of most women your age who are going to bump their heads dating the wrong guys just because they're older or just because they're more paid. And eventually they want a good guy. Eventually they stop thinking that a good guy is settling. Eventually they put down their vanity, and they start picking guys based on their character and stuff. If you're 17, just start picking character now. I can tell you, you are not settling with a guy who treats you well, right? That's just bullshit that women tell themselves to pretty much excuse their decision making and pass the buck to whoever they've decided on. Even so, I hope that helps. I almost said follow me at kevhick24 on Instagram. My bad. Um, how important is setting boundaries in relationships, and should your partner get mad if you set a new boundary even though there's a good logical reason behind it? um, it's important to set boundaries in relationships, but it's very difficult. It's extremely difficult to set boundaries in relationships because you've already established the habit pattern and practice. Now you're going against what's been established, and so you're introducing something new. People don't like that, and it's often really frowned upon, and you will get some resistance from someone. Anytime you put a new rule in place, you're going to get resistance. If the government decided today that my state couldn't carry weapons or smoke medical marijuana, or well, pick any rule that the people have to follow, um, and we hadn't had that rule before, all of a sudden everybody's gonna be pissed, right? I've been carrying a gun for 10 years. If the government say, "Hey, Kevin, you can't carry a gun no more," but what the, like I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be big mad. I'm probably gonna do it illegally because I do what I do now. But it's gonna be a problem because it's a new rule. It's a new boundary, and the same in your relationship. If that hasn't been something that you've done and that you've established, you're going to get some pushback. That's not to say, and that doesn't mean that you shouldn't still give that boundary and you shouldn't still establish it. But you need to be prepared to deal with the unwillingness of your partner to engage within that boundary. So um, you need to figure out what you're going to do and what you're willing to do to enforce that boundary. Most of the time, a person tries to put a new boundary into their relationship, but they don't know how far they'll take it. They don't know how hard they'll fight for it. Right? Are they willing to go all the way? Are they willing to be alone if this boundary isn't respected? I don't know. If you're not willing to walk away, then you're really at your partner's mercy when you establish a new boundary. Even if there's good logic, even if there's a good logical reason behind it. But I don't. I think a supportive partner is going to try to cooperate with you, and so the compromise and the introspection skills of your partner is going to determine whether or not that boundary is something that you need to walk away for, or you can continue within. But no, it's okay, and it's important to set new boundaries, especially if you're not being served in your relationship or you're being injured and bruised in your relationship, emotionally or intellectually or otherwise energetically. So, absolutely. Ashley Williams, love and respect. Thank you for the super chat. She said, "Man online and won a date. Before we spoke on the phone and found out that he had PTSD when he argued with a waiter, pushed the manager to the ground. Lesson learned." Yeah, so she went on a date with somebody, and apparently he had an episode, a PTSD episode, uh, for probably what was bad service in the restaurant. I think it's important to note that that's the most beautiful thing that could have happened, right? Think about this: you're on a date, and this is happening. They don't expect to see you again. You damn sure don't expect to see them again, and you decided not to. Would you rather have that? And I know you wouldn't have, but think about how lucky she is to have seen that episode then. Not that people with PTSD don't deserve love and respect and affection, but there has to be a management of whatever issues that you have. I don't think that people with mental issues or PTSD or stress or depression or bipolar, pick the issue. I don't think that anyone is undeserving of love unless they're evil or wicked. But they need to be having it. They need to get that shit in check, and they need to be making sure that they're on top of their mental health journey. Right? That they're not excuse me, an active participant in their mental health. If they're just letting it come to them, whatever flows, then you have a problem on your hands. And so that person probably wasn't on top of their mental health regimen. And they're clearly, if they're not equipped to go to a restaurant, then they're not equipped to be pissed off indoors, behind closed doors, alone with you. So I'm glad that happened because you got to see it in public in a safe place, and you won't find yourself alone with that person, hopefully. Somebody said my ex cheated on me when I found out he. My ex cheated on me when I found out he dumped me and left me uh, for the girl he cheated on me with. Now 4 months later, the relationship is over. He wants me back. Should I take him back? No. Fuck your ex. Somebody said, where can I find those quality men hiding? They're not hiding. They're all in your friend zones. In fact, women always say, I don't have men in my friend zone, or my friend zone is full of. How about this? If you don't think that the quality men are all friend zoned, then just start checking other women's friend zones. Why don't y'all swap out men from the friend zone? All of y'all just trade your friend zone. You got 2 or 3 guys in the friend zone. You got 2 or 3 guys. Y'all just swap them out. If you're too familiar with them, give them to somebody else. Point them in somebody else's direction. But if all the women came together and just swapped out their friend zones, it would probably be a 90% match for most of those women if they finally gotten tired of looking for the excitement of anxiety and chasing men. If they finally get tired of being the 90% or the 80% of women chasing the 10 or the 20% of men who shit on them. If they finally get tired of that, when they mature beyond needing all of this excitement and the possibility of rejection, and you all just get together, 50 women get together, and each of you just give out to guys in your friend zones. Everybody probably leave that damn party with a boyfriend, or at least 50 or 80%. I'll be honest with you. And a lot of y'all think, okay, well, you're just mansplaining, Kevin. You're just being a YouTuber now. Nope. I've coached over 4,000 women. I stopped counting after 4,000 because who the hell cares? But I can tell you, it's a common thread. Every time I have a day where my schedule is booked, I might have 5 or 6 calls in a day. 2 or 3 of those calls are some woman chasing the wrong guy. One of those calls is a woman in a relationship, and the other one is a woman who needs direction, right? But the vast majority of my calls, 3 of the 4,000 were women chasing shit bags who had met good guys but just didn't want to settle. So you figure that out. But I'm having real conversations with real people, and when people are getting their bullshit dissected, it normally falls back onto, okay, so there are quality guys that like you. You just don't like them. That's different than no good man exists. Just because you don't want him, just because you're not attracted to him, just because he doesn't make you horny, doesn't mean he's not good and doesn't mean he doesn't exist. Most of you are made horny who have this issue, this particular issue, not all women, but the ones who have this particular issue, most of you are made horny by the very qualities that you should be running from. So you figure out what to do with that. Uh, Love and respect. Let me make sure Pretty Girl, you text me again. Okay, solid. Um, so somebody said, hey, bro, how are y'all doing? I agree. I'm single and living a great, single and loving it. Great advice. Stay safe. Okay. You too. Love and respect. Appreciate you. How do you build connection? What questions do that? I end up in friend zone. Thanks for all you do. How do you build connection? What questions do that? I end up in a friend zone. And remember, if you want to, if y'all want to ask a question on video, I believe the link is up. I'm gonna double check. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself and not. If you go to my community tab, there should be a link where you can click on that and ask a question on video, and go back and forth with me on video if you want to. I forgot all about it because I'm getting in my zone now. I always do the comment section. Anyway, how do you build connection? You build connection through, first of all, intent. You either intend to support somebody, intend to hear them out, intend to listen to them, uh, or you intend to get close. Without the intention to get close, you cannot build a connection unless there's an intent to be validated by them as well, right? That's also a way to get connection. But if you want to get a man to connect to you, There are no magic questions to ask him. The easiest way to win friends and influence people is allow people to talk about themselves, and allow them to feel important in their interaction with you. That's one of the easiest ways to win friends and influence people. And that also, it allows it's relevant also with dating. So get a man talking about himself, listen to him, hear him out, make what he says sound important or interesting to you, or show up as a support person. The only problem is if you show up as a support person, or you show up in support of a person instead of just connecting as friends. Basically, build friendships with them. Long story short, build quality friendships with men. It's not about the questions; it's about the back and forth. It's about the intent to be a friendship. But you got to be careful, because if you show up, if like I said, one way to become important to somebody or build a connection is to support them and things of that nature. That has to be the function in the long term. But if you show up and you do too much for people too fast, people fall in love with your hand and not your heart. So you don't want to just show up trying to solve a person's problems. Like I said, the easiest way to build a quality connection is to build a quality friendship. And if a guy is capable of being a friend to you, and he sees you as a sexual being, and you're not muted sexually, and that's something I always talk about if a person is muted sexually, because a lot of times women aren't necessarily oh, should I have a guess? Uh, women aren't necessarily women aren't necessarily Samaya, you're on. If you can hear me, I can hear you. But
Oh my God. Hi.
hold on,
Can you hear
speak up a
me?
little bit.
Hi.
Hi, what's going on?
Okay.
I don't see your
So,
camera. Is your camera on?
no, because like I'm kind of like in a dark room. That's why.
Hold on,
And I
I
don't
gotta
want to
figure
like
out how to get
spot the lights on.
I gotta figure out how to get my microphone on. I can't hear crap. Hold on. I don't want you to yell into the. We finally got a person. Let me see. Edit mic settings. We finally got a person who is speaking. I want to make sure I can hear you. See, online is such. All right, I'm back. I'm back. I don't know what. I don't even know what happened. That's why I don't like going live on my phone. I can't do nothing. Let me see. I'm gonna use my. Okay. Can you hear me, Samaya?
Yeah, I can hear you now. So, is my
Okay.
voice coming in?
Now I can hear you. I
Okay.
can hear you now. Okay. So tell me, what's your question?
Okay. Hi. Nice to meet you. Uh, so the question I had, like as an introvert, like it's hard, like getting to people and then asking like the right questions, and then so I wanted to know like what questions should we ask and like how do you approach person? I don't know. It's hard to write it out, but
So you want to know what questions you should be asking people on dates, what questions to kind of get people to open up.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that it's important to get people talking about their passions. Like I always say, I always talk about this book. If you read this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, the premise of that book is about the need for everybody to feel important. I don't know how to get this. I don't know how to
Mm-hmm.
get this other version of me off. So forgive me for the visual. I messed up the visual trying to hear some pushing buttons on my phone. But the premise of the book is everybody has a need to feel important, and the easiest way to gain influence or even to gain a friend in a person is to get them talking about what makes them feel important. Okay, so if you want to if you want to get a person talking about themselves and you have that skill set, they'll start to like you a little bit more because they've had a great time talking about themselves, right? So that's a premise. That's something that's talked about in that book. So if I was you, I'd read into that book and kind of dig into that. But the question specifically that even the book talks about is getting people talking about the things that they're passionate about. So some people are passionate about their jobs. So you want to get people talking about their jobs if they feel accomplished. Now, people who are not accomplished or don't like their jobs or don't like talking about them, they're not going to like this. But if you want to get people like invested in your conversation, you got to get them invested in
Mm-hmm.
the subject matter. And so it's all about asking, hey, so what are you passionate about? What do you like to do? What do you believe in? What do you feel? Whether it's politics, whether it's hobbies, whether it's their job, you have to find their passion. So just ask enough questions to figure out what they're passionate about. Some people don't have a passion and they're very difficult to connect to because of that, but that's not your fault. Um, and if you can't get somebody to speak freely and speak with authority and confidence about a thing, then it's hard to get them to start talking. And so that's one of those things where, like, when people have dates and everything is way too quiet, people are wondering how and why things aren't working out in this date. It's because people aren't feeling confident. They're feeling like they need to protect themselves, and so they're saying less instead of saying more. So if you're on a date, try your best to figure out how to get somebody to start talking about themselves or start talking about the things that they're most passionate about.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. Let me see. Gray Wolf, I'm going to add you to stream. Gray Wolf, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me because I had to like go and lower the volume on my YouTube that I'm streaming to the TV.
Okay, well, I can hear you. You are low, but I can hear you. I'm assuming people can hear you as well.
Okay. So actually, I had a few questions, but I guess maybe the most recent question I guess that I asked. There is someone I know I've been friend zoned, but I still seem to get mixed messages a lot of the times where sometimes he'll just seem to ask stuff that would be reserved for like a close relationship. And though we do work on a YouTube project online together,
Mm-hmm.
it's never really we never really go out. Like even as friends, I'll ask, oh, do you want to do this or that, and he never really seems passionate about going out. But even the other day he asked a question where, it was this important decision and the decision was going to be made like in the next 2 days or maybe already had been made, and he asked my opinion on him, and in my mind I'm like, well, if I'm not really a friend and I'm definitely not a girlfriend, what does he consider me?
I think he probably likes you intellectually. He probably thinks you have good ideas, but he's pretty much making use of your intellect. If you're a friend and you're in the friend zone, that's not going to stop him from accessing you as if there was a closer relationship. And sometimes it can feel like when you're in the friend zone that you have let me remove from stream. Sometimes it can feel like when you're in the friend zone, you have this privilege of getting this secret information, and you have this privilege of them confiding in you, and it can feel like you're making progress. But I've known men and women to just use the minds of those people that they respect intellectually, but don't see romantically. So just because he's pulling you into his important decisions doesn't mean You're anything more than a friend or a sounding board. Again, sometimes when we offer our support to a person before there's a commitment to getting close to us in the way and the method that we were hoping for, they start to fall in love with our hand and not our heart. And so sometimes your hand can be your time, your energy. Sometimes your hand can be your finances, your sex. Sometimes your hand can be your intellect. Whatever he gets from you in the context of this relationship, consistently and respects from you and expects from you, he's always going to be trying to get that. And so I don't know if you've had conversations with this person about a potential relationship. Have you?
Not so much, because it's just kind of, I assumed being the friend zone, although I think recently I did talk to him and saying, like, what do you consider our friendship? And then so we actually decide to, like, actually as friends go out somewhere in the future. So hopefully I don't get
Friends.
flaked on. But
So you got ambiguity as an answer.
because I assume that, yes, it's not, the relationship isn't going to go farther than a friendship.
Right. So if he said no without saying no, then you're on. This is an infinite. This is an infinite friend zoning. That I mean, it could change in the future, but that's a 99% chance it probably won't. If he had some hope for a relationship, he would have made that more clear and more abundantly clear in his response to you. Anytime a guy avoids saying no, but he doesn't say yes, the answer is no. He just doesn't want to be hurtful, and he doesn't want to lose the resource of your intellect. So if I was you, I'd move on from that gentleman and try to figure out what you can offer yourself or provide yourself in the way of relationships that have more potential. If you just want to be friends and you have the capacity to do that without getting jealous or hurt by it, that's wonderful. But don't waste any more time talking to this gentleman if you want relationship and you can't sit still in the absence of one. If you can't get around it, you can't get over it, you got to move on. All right, we add Terry to the stream. How you doing, Terry? Your mic's okay. Now your mic's on. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're low, but I can hear you.
Okay, great. Oh, I'm so glad to get through to you. There's so much going on. Oh my gosh, I need a man's perspective so bad.
What's going on?
Okay, so me and this guy, we've been dating for it was a total of 3 years. And in the past, everything was great, but he completely disappeared on me and deleted all his social media accounts. Didn't know where he went. So last year, he came back into my life, and he's a whole new person. Basically, the guy that I wanted him to be at that time, that's who he is now. And everything's going great between us. But recently, we got back in contact with each other. We start going out. Everything is good. I seen him earlier this month, and there was just something off about him. I couldn't really pinpoint it, but it's like getting to me, But I just felt something inside of me, like he was doing something. I couldn't pinpoint it. So I prayed and asked God to like show me, which way to go with this relationship. That next day, I noticed on TikTok he deleted me. And so I got on his TikTok and I noticed that he has a whole girlfriend.
Hmm.
He has a whole girlfriend. I looked on, this is innocently, I wasn't stalking, I wasn't looking for anything, but I know that he's involved with somebody now. So the day after we've seen each other, that's when he is with her, and he's still with her, I believe, up to this point. So he doesn't think that I know. He doesn't know that I know. He's in a whole relationship at all.
Okay.
So I'm trying to see how should I confront this. It's been 3 years. We've been going out, and we follow each other on social media, and I'm like, how should I approach it? Should I let him know? Should I confront him? Because I invested a lot into So I just don't know what to do.
Okay. So the problem here is you have enough history with this man where there should be enough transparency, there should be enough clarity, there should be enough of a connection and enough established respect that, first of all, he wouldn't have disappeared. If he disappeared after 3 years or after 2.5 or however long you were dating, um,
Yeah.
there are a few things I heard here. You're dating a man for 3 years and you're not in a relationship with him, there's no commitment. You wasted at least 2.5 years. A man knows if he wants to be with you after about 3 months of consistent spending time with you. He don't need 3 years to screw you and enjoy your company and your sex and your energy before he figures out what he wants to do. And he's damn sure not going to hit it for 2 years or 3 years and then disappear and then come back as a good man. That's not how that works at all. He's
Right.
acting differently than he was acting before, but he appears to be the same gentleman. You said he was a completely different person. He's the guy you wanted. Maybe that's professionally, maybe that's in the way he presents himself, but it sounds like you described the same type of man that would have a woman on hold for 3 years. So for me, I'm not hearing a big difference. I'm hearing a different presentation of the same individual who would make use of you and not keep you in the loop about where you stand, what's going on, what the potential is. Um, if he has a whole girlfriend, I don't think he's. I think he's doing you a favor. I feel like this is the same gentleman you were acquainted with. He's just presented himself a lot differently. He's in a different vibe, in a different phase of his life, but he's the same person. So for me, um, whether or not you talk to him or say anything about it, I guess you could. You could just tell him, "Hey, I know you got a girlfriend. I don't, like the fact that you didn't respect me enough to say that. I don't like the fact that you've come back into my life and you try to resume things with me. I think that's wrong. Why would you do that to me?" You can say those things, but it doesn't change anything. This man has a whole girlfriend, and he's blocking you from all of his social media. Again, like he did the last time. And if you didn't notice last time, just because you didn't see the girl doesn't mean there wasn't one. Okay, so if he
Right.
disappeared from the face of the earth, it's likely that he was in a serious relationship or had something else starting up or going on. Unless he was wanted by the police or something like that.
Right.
Unless he's anti-government, tinfoil type of guy, black helicopter, don't want the government tracking him. Unless he went through one of those phases, when a man disappears from social media and cuts off all his access to random beautiful women, he's definitely got caught and he's trying to figure out how to scrub his history so he didn't get dumped in his relationship or held accountable. So it sounds like
Right.
he found a woman or had a woman the first time he disappeared, and it sounds like he's doing the same thing, just not as drastically. And it sounds like he's just trying to make sure he removes the portions of your relationship that could probably backfire on his new relationship. Get far away from this person. You only live once as you. Yeah, right. Terry, you are you one time. You might come back as a
Yeah.
blade of grass. You might come back as a frog, but you are you one time. This man has already taken 3 years from your life. How many years
Yeah.
is he gonna you gonna allow this man to use before you decide that you're just gonna move on into somebody who would actually prioritize you in a singular relationship instead of a plural relationship that you're not even aware of? If I
Right.
was you, you could say, "Hey, I know what you're doing. Stop calling me. Leave me alone." You could tell him or you could just disappear from the face of the earth like he did. Either or. I know a lot of
Mm.
people, especially in my mental health professional friends, say, "Well, ghosting is bad. It creates a lot of damage." Fuck some of these people,
Mm.
please.
Mm.
Like he doesn't deserve the respect or consideration that you would give someone
Right.
who's respected and considered you. So if
And
you
you know
never
what,
talk to him
Kevin?
again, that would be my preference. What was you saying?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's like this has been like a weight on me, and it's felt like vindication. You know what I'm saying? For me
Mm-hmm.
to actually see and not, it's a different story when you're actually looking for something and you
Yeah.
find something versus when you're looking for something innocently and you find something. You know,
Right.
that's like a big like a big sigh of relief. But it's like it's hard because when you invest something into a person and when this person is like a wolf in sheep's clothing and you see the real them, it's like you're taken back. You're like, oh my gosh, man, wow. Because I'm like, the saying, first time shame on them, second time shame on me.
Right.
So I mean, I believe in forgiving people, but at the end of the day, there's a thin line between being forgiving people and just being flat out disrespectful. you know.
Right.
So even now, like I corrected him on Facebook. We follow each other on everything except for TikTok. He deleted me off of TikTok so I wouldn't see what he was doing.
Okay.
That's what I did notice. The second thing, I let him know. I forgot to mention this. I'm sorry I'm taking up your time.
You're all right. You're all right.
But the second time I went on this is actually last Sunday. So I've been battling with this for a whole week, you know, what to do, what to say. I'm asking random people. I'm like, what should I do? What should I say? You know? So I got on my Facebook. Now he knows I'm able to see his stories, you know?
Mhm.
So for me to click on a story and see his face, and then it goes on to the next motion of a female cooking for him and pouring his juice. Oh yeah, that's a problem.
But you realize what that's about, though. So you didn't catch him. What he's doing, like, are you involved with this man sexually right now?
Hmm, only one time we did something.
Okay. But he's reacquired access to you sexually since you've been in acquaintance. So he's not getting caught. Like, you didn't catch him. He's tempering your expectations with the truth, right? Women always talk about, well, I just don't want a man to lie to me. I want honesty. Excuse me, I'm coming down with a cold. I want honesty. I want honesty. Women say that. And then generally what happens is they will accept an ugly truth over a pretty lie. And
Mm,
they assume that everything pretty is a lie and everything ugly is the truth. When they find an ugly truth, because it's been presented and because they know and they have knowledge, they think that moving on within that awareness somehow or another restores honor to the situation. Well, at least he's keeping it real, or at least I know. At least I'm making
yeah.
an educated choice. When in fact you're disrespecting yourself by allowing this to happen and continue. I don't think he didn't know that you would see his stories. What I think happened is he decided to trickle those little ugly truths into his social media,
Mm,
get your attention with the band TikTok or whatever. But I don't think he was looking for um, complete anonymity in what he was doing. He's looking to change your expectation so that when you approach him about it, he'd be like, "Look, I was real. I put it online. You seen it,
mm,
right? He's gonna
mm,
keep it real with you this time around." And now, because he's keeping it real with you, you're a willing participant. So now you can't complain about nothing anymore, right? And it also puts you in a
mm,
competitive headspace. Um,
mm-hmm.
I feel like he presented that to you on purpose because most of the time a woman will be disappointed. And as long as he puts the pressure on her right after disappointing her, um, they'll usually stick around for a little bit. I see you, Don Diva. I'm gonna add you in a minute. Um, they'll usually stick around beyond disappointment. So the cycle is this: a man gets with a woman, enthralls her, gets her to connect with him, disappoints her, resets her expectation. She sits and thinks that she's gonna, move away. He puts pressure on her. Eventually, she moves forward with the knowledge that he's no good, thinking that she can then now control her expectations, which she cannot do because it's emotional, it's not logical, it's not intellectual. Um, Now you're in a love triangle that you volunteered for. And now he doesn't have
Mm,
to worry about treating you well because you came under the context that you would never get what you wanted from him because he kept it real. So that's what's happening here. If I was you, I'd never speak to the man again. That would be the best thing you can do for your life and quit wasting years. Because I've talked to women all the time who've been doing this
yeah,
for 17 years,
yeah.
18 years. Don't do this to yourself.
And he
I'm gonna take.
actually deleted it. So shortly after I told him, I said, "Well, I see you have a chef cooking for you." He actually deleted the story right away.
Yeah, he's pretending to have remorse. Fuck that guy. I'm gonna
Right.
take
Thank
another
you
call.
so much. God bless you. I appreciate you and everything you do. Thank you.
No problem at all. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Don Diva, you might have jumped off. I don't see you in the live no more. So I'm gonna let Nancy on, and I'm gonna take Terry off. All right. I'm learning. I'm learning. What's going on, Nancy? Love and respect, Nancy. How you doing?
Hey, you remember me, right?
I remember you. Yeah, I remember you.
Just how are you? So,
I'm wonderful.
that's great. I thank you so much for your advice because I moved away from the state, and I'm just like in Zen right now. The choosing you as a coach was the best decision I made. It changed my life. Like, it really did.
I'm glad. I'm glad I was able to have a positive effect. For those of you listening, Nancy was in my 3-month program, so that's what she's referring to. I've spoken to her at length numerous times. And first of all, I'm really proud of you for actually taking my advice.
Yeah.
In this business, most of the time, you realize that people will pick an amount for your advice, but they'll actually do what they were going to do before you gave them the advice. Like, they're going to do what they were going to do anyway, most of the time. About 25% of the time, maybe 18, if I'm being accurate, people actually employ what you tell them into their process. And when it does that, it works every time, but you don't get that satisfaction, just internally as a coach, as much as you would imagine, even though people are paying for that access. So I'm very proud of you, and thank you for actually employing my advice.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. I believe God's using you. And so I wanted to ask you, because I moved into this new city, and the men here are so different. Like, they're so chivalrous. They treat you like a woman, like where I came from, Fort Lauderdale. I'm not saying all men are, like mean or anything like that, but that ecosystem, the men there were so aggressive. I've had people come out their cars to want to fight me, like back in Florida. I was kind of on edge, and so when I came to this new city in DC, the men are just like, after you, like, they're so kind. And I wasn't used to that. So there's this guy at my job. He's a security. He's like an officer, and I'm not sure if he likes me. But so what happens is he would tell me, like, you're very beautiful. Like, won't you dress up? Just to, like, as a friend. Like, he's like, I really think you're beautiful. You should dress up. And I started doing that, and then, like, he gives me googly eyes, And so I'm not sure if he likes me, because sometimes he would say, "Oh, this is my girl." He would get a little jealous when I say I see a trainer and I train with a trainer once a week. He's like, "Oh, he better back up. He better back up, because you're my girl." I didn't know we were dating, because we're not. We're not dating. But he would always offer to buy things or like purchase things for me. He's like, I could go take you on a shopping spree. I didn't take that offer. But he is such a gentleman. Only one thing he would always say, I've been abstinent for 12 years. And so he would say jokingly, he would like, "Oh, do you want to break that streak?" I'm like, no, I'm waiting until marriage, but does this guy like me, or is he just infatuated, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think he's applied a little bit of game. So a lot of women can be purchased, and they don't believe it. They don't understand it as that, right? It's just, you can be charmed with gifts and with again, somebody's hand. I keep saying this: if you present your hand before you present your heart, or before someone accepts your heart, then they fall in love with your hand. And sometimes a man will present his hand, but it's his false hand. It's like a prosthetic, right? It looks like a hand, but it really isn't a hand, because he's really just using it to bait you. It doesn't sound like this man is moving with enough purpose. It sounds like this gentleman is trying to charm you with shopping sprees. When a guy's leading with gifts, either he's inexperienced and a trick, or he's strategically trying to move you toward him to manipulate you out of something. I always tell people, and I see y'all, if y'all are backstage, if y'all are backstage, I'm gonna get to y'all, so don't leave backstage, just hang around backstage, and I'm gonna open y'all up. I'll talk to y'all too. I got a couple guests in the back, but a lot of times a guy will strategically do this because he knows that softening someone up is flattering. That doesn't mean he's a villain or wicked or intends to do wrong, but it means that you need to move strategically and don't take anything emotionally from this experience until this man is more clear on what he's looking for. And I see your super chat. I'm gonna get your super chat too. I appreciate you. So what you need to do is be very clear in your communications. When men are I'm not going, because you're a Christian. When men are bull jiving you, I remember you. Remember when men are bull jiving you with gifts and compliments and flattery, right? That might be the way that they've learned to approach women, and so it might not be malicious, but it can't be trusted. So what I would do if I was you is be very blunt. certain personalities require certain means of communication, right? If people, bullshitters, I'm sorry, bull drivers, require you to be very blunt and very straightforward with what you want. You don't have to be mean, you don't have to be nasty, but you need to be very literal, right? And make him understand that you're taking him very literal. So he needs to stop with the fluff and give you what just say what he has to say. And that's how you approach dealing with him. And if he can't do that, if he won't give you that much respect to just come out with it, and you ask them specific questions, like be like, okay, listen, what is this? Why are you trying to take me shopping? Do you want something from me? Are you looking for a relationship from me? Are you looking for sex? What are you looking for? Like you have to deal with them like you're dealing with someone who's like a door-to-door salesman. You ain't got time. You sleep, they gonna knock on your door like a Mormons, like the Mormons with the book bag knock on your door, or the Jehovah's Witness knock on your door, or some salesman that's talking about your heating bill or some bullshit like that. Whatever door-to-door salesman you got in your hood. When a door-to-door salesman comes and knocks on your door, you're not like, okay, tell me all about it. And you don't want to hear this. You're like, listen, what do you want? What do you get into? Can you speak like what we doing? What we doing right now? What are you selling? Right? And that's how you gotta have to deal with him. Because he'll bullshit you for as long as it takes for you to be finessed out of your draws. And for you, I mean, you've been abstinent. You are not the person that needs to hear that message, but somebody watching this is going through the same thing and they need to hear that. I know you're not going to be finessed because it doesn't matter what a person intends. It matters what you allow, right? A person can intend to use you, but if you can't be used, you know what I'm saying? So don't give him nothing. No money. No, obviously you're not going to give him no nothing else. So he good. Just figure out what he wants from you. Be very literal with him and make him be real about what he's attracted to instead of trying to finesse you and softball you. He might actually be a decent guy who's learned to bullshit his way into relationships because it looks like it's safer and it might work for him where he is. You are in a new dating pool. DC's a different dating pool than Fort Lauderdale or any part of Florida.
Yes.
And I always tell people to switch their dating pool if they're not getting the results they want. And I see your super chat. We're gonna dig into that. But we always have to move a different way when we get around a different culture because they have a different dating culture. I've talked to people in DC. They don't like DC that much for dating, but that's their dating pool. They're familiar with it, right? They might like Fort Lauderdale's aggression or New York's aggression over Fort Lauderdale's over DC's softer approach. It doesn't mean that the people are better or worse. They're just different in the way they present themselves, right? That could be a good thing. That could be a bad thing. But what I want you to do is get very literal with him and don't let him finesse you in conversation. And also just be very blunt with him. Be nice. You're a very sweet woman. Your tones are always sweet. You're never like, you're extremely sweet, sometimes too sweet. So maintain your nature of being sweet, but just be very literal and see what you get from him when you're cutting the fat off of the interaction. Okay. And then you still got my number. Text me and let me know how that's going. All right.
Okay, I definitely will.
All right.
Thank you.
No problem. I'm gonna get you off of here and I'm gonna answer a super chat. Who's on here? Don Diva. Did I talk to Don Diva? Let me see.
Hi.
Don Diva, you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. I'm well. Hold on. I'm going to get to the super chat and then I'm going to get to you. So just hang on tight, okay?
Okay.
Love and respect, Sunny Cake. $25 super chat. No question. Just love. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. And if you did have a question, put it somewhere and I'm sure Pretty Girl listened it to me. So Don Diva, what's going on?
Okay. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm okay. Thanks. So I just left like a 4-year relationship and I don't know, like he still texts me sometimes and like he was very emotionally abusive, but he would come back and like always like, take me out and like try to party with me and buy me gifts and stuff. But I feel like when it came to respecting me, like he didn't really show me respect.
Right.
But then I don't know, like he had so many like girlfriends, but they were like girls who were his friends. But like they were the girls that, could follow him on social media. He'd party with them. But with me, I don't know. I felt like I was like the one that he would like keep at home. So now I recently moved out of the state. I was living in New York and I left. And like now he always contacts me and he's like, oh, I want to see you. And like, I made a mistake. I made so many wrong decisions. And I'm in my head like, could he change like is it a possibility he could change? But then as soon as I don't give him what he wants and like I don't go see him or like, I don't answer him immediately, he gets abusive again. So I'm like,
Right.
is this something he could grow out of, or is he just always gonna try to like ruin my life? And then, have
Um,
good times with other girls. So I just don't
right.
know.
Okay. So short answer. Sorry, Christians, but fuck that person. Fuck him. He's not. He's fuck that dude. I just fuck him. I'm sorry. YouTube don't do YouTube doesn't monetize my lives anyway. So
No, that's okay. I
super
need to
chats.
hear it.
Listen, this guy is strategically using whatever charm he has to manipulate you back into subservitude and submission. He understands that, and he's learned through your acceptance of his behavior that all he has to do is be nice for a little while, and he can get access to you sexually, emotionally, and otherwise. And also understands that what keeps you tied to him is his validation, and so he gives you his validation, and it pulls you back in, and he invalidates you to put you in your place. Right. So what he's giving you is a strategic manipulation and abuse. This is not him being accidentally rough housing with you. He's
Right.
strategically manipulating you, and the reason why he keeps you home, you start to feel different. You feel set apart from his other girls, like you're special because he separates you. Right, you're somehow or another being coveted by him, but that's not what this is. You're being separated probably because you're one of the most easy to use. You're the most loving and the most forgiving, and you give your services despite you're given by him. So you've actually become the best victim. A lot of women meet him, engage with him, probably have sex with him, and realize, oh, this guy's a lunatic. Fuck this guy, and they move away.
Yeah.
But you stay, and so he puts you in the corner because you sit in the corner. There's this story, or not story, but there's this thing that talks about elephants, right? The circus training an elephant will put a stick in the ground that's no bigger than like 2 inches in diameter. It's really like a stake, right? And a baby elephant is still like 600 pounds, but a baby elephant has trouble tugging away from this stake, right? It's just a little stick by comparison to the elephant's size, but they feel that resistance, and they eventually stop trying to tug away from it, right? That's their leash. They learn that their radius of movement is the rope that ties them to the stick. Well, as an elephant gets bigger and bigger, an elephant grows to 3,000, 5,000 pounds, right? 4,000 pounds. At that point, the elephant still won't even challenge the stick. They will stay right in place because they learned when they were a baby by the circus trainers and handlers that if they were to move away from that stick, it would be too much resistance. They can't break away from it. So now a 12,000 pound elephant is still pretty much afraid to challenge what is likely a twig or a branch in comparison to the size they are, right?
Right. Wow.
It becomes a mental leash, not a physical leash, because an elephant could just turn its head the wrong way and snap that stick or snap that stick, rip it right out of the ground, right? It's not about the physical barrier, it's about the mental barrier, and he's giving you a mental barrier, right? And so your issue here isn't that he's done anything. You've just learned that you need to stay in place, and you've learned that eventually he'll pet you, he'll be nice to you, and it'll feel really good because he's denied you that validation for that long, but you're not actually being loved by this person, and there's no change happening. It's just a strategic like replanting of the stake. So with all of me, with every fiber of my being, leave that guy alone, never speak to him again. Now again, I spoke to Nancy earlier. I'm most of the time I already know people aren't going to follow my advice. I don't know you well enough to know if you will or won't, but I can tell you that you will never get anything outside of abuse from this man.
Yeah, I feel like
abuse,
I've given him.
You'll get some eggplant, and you'll get some abuse, and that's what you'll get. That's what you got coming, and you'll waste a lot of your good years if you still got some.
I do.
He'll suck it dry.
I'm in my 20s, so I have some more time, but I gave him a lot of time, and I noticed that like I feel like I kind of helped him, into a better man, and at the same time, like I kind of let my career and my dreams and stuff kind of fall by the wayside, and I'm like, damn, another woman's gonna be able to reap the benefits of that. But honestly, I don't know if he'll change unless he gets like professional help or anything. I think I just have that little like
he can't
glimmer of
be
hope
changed.
that's like maybe, because he'll text me, he'll say, "Oh, I didn't have the right mindset," and
No.
those were bad decisions, not, they were mistakes. And I'm just like, it's the community dick in the mind games that just
Yeah.
I can't see him loving another lifestyle. Honestly, like he'll tell me, oh, he likes certain things about me, and he doesn't respect the I guess, let's say, sexually loose women. But I feel like he does, and it's probably like you said.
Well, he doesn't just not to cut you off.
No.
But he doesn't respect any woman, not just the sexually loose ones, because he engages with the sexually loose ones and gets sex from them. So he's not protecting himself from them, and then he keeps you in pocket when he wants the exclusive experience, right? And just because you've helped this man attain new heights for his career, and then I gotta go. I got another guest. I want to make sure, Karina. I got you up next. I'm gonna make sure I get you in here. But just because you've assisted this man, and a lot of women take this idea on that they've helped a man grow, and they've grown him from a boy to a man, and then some other woman is going to reap the benefits. I don't give a damn what you helped him do. I don't give a fuck if you did every one of his homework assignments to get him a degree, and now he has the big job. A woman coming behind you, isn't getting a better man. She's just getting the abuse that you were getting. Now he's going to make her do his homework. Now he's going to make her handle the brunt of the stress in the household. Now he's going to abuse her in the ways he was abusing you. She's not getting a better man. She's getting the finances you were hoping to get from a man, right? But man, listen, some shit ain't worth the money. So I need you to move completely away from this idea that somebody else is going to get the better of him, because if you're just being honest with yourself, nobody's getting him. That's the point. Everybody's just getting the tip of his dick. If we're just being honest, everybody's just getting the tip. They ain't getting. He just putting the tip in. He ain't giving nobody nothing because he didn't have it to give. He's not an emotionally open person. That's not why he's dating.
Wow.
And so, sorry for being vulgar on the phone.
No, please. I'm like,
but I just need you to understand that you're not getting anything from this man that he's going to get from somebody else, because he can't be a man doesn't change his nature. He changes habits, right? So a man can practice being nicer. But if his nature is this, what you've described, this darkness that you've described, and the woman is getting this darkness, she ain't getting nothing better than you. She getting the same shit you getting with a higher salary attached to it. But a man like this serving himself isn't going to splurge his salary on the woman. He's going to keep it. He's going to keep it to himself. And I'm going to let you off of here now because I want to get Karina in here before she gets tired. But and I'm about to talk to you, Karina. But when a guy is doing that, he's not all of a sudden going to become a community service activist in a relationship focused, healthy-minded individual. He gets the big job. He has the access he's always had. The new woman is going to get the version of him that has the entitlement that comes with the big job, and he has the same character of the broke guy who was cheating on his woman. That's what you're going to get. So fuck it. Karina, love and respect. How you doing?
Oh, hello. I first want to say, like, I really appreciate your channel, and it has really helped me out to like understand the current situation that I'm going through. But I just wanted to ask like one question. Does dressing and style matter when it comes to dating, and should it be what a man looks for, or does that mean he wants you in like a sexual way? So for instance, like when a guy is talking about how you may dress or how your hair may look, and you're just in the talking stage and you're like getting to know this guy, is that a necessary criticism, or a necessary a necessary point to say to someone in that talking stage?
Okay. Give me an example of the criticism. Give me one example of the thing that is being criticized here. In what context?
Um, well, with my situation, I was like talking to this guy, and as soon as I came in, like, it's not like I didn't work hard to kind of, look good or look appropriate for this date and whatever, but immediately when I got there, he kind of commented on my hair, and that, oh, why don't you try this hairstyle on your hair? Because he wants to see me with that hairstyle specifically. That's kind of what I mean. Like, I know when I came in one time, he was like, oh, you took so long just for your hair to look like that, kind of. So that's kind of what I mean.
Okay. So if he was just, if the context of this question had just come in the idea of him saying, man, I wonder what you would look, with this particular style. I think that would look really good on your face as well, in addition to something like that. That wouldn't be inherently terrible. It'd be ill-advisable. You don't criticize a woman and suggest she should have did something different. I had a woman actually do that to me on a date. I showed up to a date and she knew of some Tims that would have matched my outfit better than the brand new Tims that I had on. And she was like, you should have, that would have been fresh if you would have wore it. And then she picked this other colorway. And I was just like, you fuck, like, so I get where you're coming from, but I'm not a person who can be invalidated by a stranger. This man is establishing a pattern with you that he criticizes you, and then you try to figure out how to earn his validation through doing whatever he said. And he also is watching to see if you're willing to change these things, because he's looking to gain more control. He's looking for a woman who he can control. It's one thing to suggest a different style or to be honest. There's another thing to critique when it's not necessary. And I feel like what he's doing for you is strategically placing you in a subordinate position where you look for his validation. And ultimately, that validation will be sexual. That validation will be, of course, as related to your style. That validation could become financial. That validation could be your habits, patterns, practices, whatever he doesn't like. If he sees that you're malleable enough that all he has to do is critique you and excuse me, judge you, he'll keep him coming because it gets him what he wants. What you described here is a gentleman who appears to be trying to set a precedent in your relationship for you to impress him and you to be beat down by him. And women who accept this type of behavior are normally easier targets for narcissists and manipulators, right? So if you don't defend yourself, if you don't have it in you to push back, and first of all, even if you had it in you to push back, you should just be pushing away, not back. But if you don't have it in you to defend yourself, you make a very easy target for a narcissistic abuser, or even a guy who's not on the narcissistic spectrum, who's just a manipulator and an asswipe. So my suggestion to you is to move far away from that person, because even if he wants to give you a whole relationship and he just doesn't just want to talk to you, I see your super chat. I'm gonna get to you right after this. Even if a man wants to speak to you and have a relationship with you, if his means of gaining leverage in a relationship is through the criticism of your behaviors and your personhood, this is ultimately going to be a very damaging relationship for you. It's going to be a mentally and emotionally and energetically abusive relationship. And you'll always be trying to chase his validation because he's invalidated you so many times. It'd be best for you to move away from this person and never speak to them again. But I know most people don't listen to that when I say that, but it's the best thing for you. So I hope that helps. I want to grab this super chat before it disappears. Hold on. Che, or Shay, I'm sorry. She said, may I ask a question, please? But she didn't ask the question. Pretty girl, can you locate Shay Shay in the comment section if you're still there? I know Ashley has some stuff going on. She's watching our boys, but if you're there, beautiful, can you get this woman's question? Because she just said, may I ask a question, please? And if you do super chat, you just need to ask your question with the super chat. Otherwise, we got to go dig for it. But I appreciate your super chat, and I'm going to try to figure out where your question is. Yeah, and so back to you, Karina. If a guy's criticizing everything you got going on, especially on the first date, he's trying to invalidate you so that you start to bridge the gap and offer him more than you would have offered him from a place of leverage. He wants you to do something for him to earn his validation, and usually that's make out with him, that's have sex with him, and all of those things.
Right.
So never ever in your whole life, like if a man starts to criticize you on the first date, you're dealing with a user, and I've never known a great man who wanted to invalidate anything a woman had going on the first date. If a man doesn't know how to hold his tongue, shut his damn mouth, and just show some respect and some decency, you're not going to have a great relationship. That's going to be abusive. So sorry you're going through that, but never talk to that guy again. All right. So I'm waiting for Shay Shay's question. She's sending it. Ashley's looking for it. Ashley, my wife, pretty girl, she's in the comment section. So we're waiting for that. Shay Shay, please give us that question and we'll get to it. Somebody said, congratulations, Nanny. Absolutely. Sanja Till said something to somebody. This is fun. Okay, so StreamYard, as you know, if you was here in the first 45 minutes, this was a rough start, but I feel like we kind of got on the stride here. I kind of like Super Chat. I mean, not Super Chat, StreamYard. I'm looking at a Super Chat here. I kind of like StreamYard. Somebody said red pill tactic. You got to be more specific than that. There are many. There are a whole lot of red pill tactics. Okay. Shay Shay says, my question is, my ex wants me back, but he only spends his holidays with his daughters that disrespect me and push me out of the house. My ex wants me back, but he only spends his holidays with his daughters that disrespect me and push me out in their house. They're grown and left the house. But he can't get them to apologize. That's a rough one. First of all, I think that any man who's tried to control anything a woman has said or done is, unless it's in the context of abuse, he's learned that you controlling a woman is you can't control no woman. Even fathers with grown daughters. That's not to say that he's not wrong for creating an atmosphere where they think that they can disrespect you. And it's definitely not to say that he's handled this appropriately, but he can't make them apologize. That would be a power move, trying to force them to apologize. I think the best thing that pretty girl, the StreamYard, okay, pause. If you want to ask a question on video, go to my community tab and click on the link that I posted right before I started this stream. It's just a link. It's a StreamYard link. If you click on that, then you can ask a question on video or audio if you don't want to turn your camera on. But like I said, yes, Shay, he can't make them do anything, but it sounds like he's created an atmosphere where they feel okay disrespecting his girlfriends, disrespecting his company and his friends. My question for you would then be why is he your ex? Is he your ex because of this event? If he's your ex because of this event, it's something that it might not be something he can rectify. So how do you create hold on, I'm gonna send another invite. Let me see. I'll try to send another invite. Copy the clipboard. I can't send I don't know if I can send another invite. People are finding it. Let me see. If I send another invite, I'm gonna probably end up off of StreamYard again. I'm gonna try to send. Y'all give me one second. But yeah, Shay, while I'm talking, I'm gonna be answering Shay Shay's question. So it's important, Shay, that you figure out exactly what you want to come of this. Because if your ex wants you back, why is he your ex? Like, that's a more important question. And if the only reason he's your ex is because they kicked you out of the house, or his daughters were abusive to you or nasty to you, you have to figure out if that is the relationship worth it, and is this something that can continue to happen. If there can be a separation between you and his daughters, and he had handled this responsibly, I can deal with that. What I can't deal with is him not handling this responsibly and you trying to figure out how to make it work despite the fact that he's not handling it responsibly. So it's really up to him, and it has more to do with um, what can even be done about the relationship between you and his daughters. If he spends his holidays with his daughters, that's something that you might have to concede if you want to continue a relationship. I'm not saying it's right, but when you have 2 or 3, or I don't know how many daughters he has, when you have other people involved, and it's not just about it's not just about him and what he wants, you can't control that many people. So it would be unreasonable to try to get him to take responsibility for trying to get them to do better when they really don't want any parts of being better to you or being better for him. They don't have enough respect for him to do what he's asking them as well. So that's something that you also have to remember, is that they're not just disrespecting you, they're disrespecting him as well. And that's part of the problem, and why this can't be something that you draw your sword on, or draw your line on, if he's also receiving this backlash, and he can't control it. The problem is proximity. Can you stay far away from these women or not? Right. That's the problem, and I'm not sure if you can do that. Somebody who has a working link, can y'all put it in the comment section? For whatever reason, I'm looking on my iPad here. I'm trying to excuse me. I'm trying to reset the link or resend the link without losing myself on this phone, and I can't. So it's not even showing me my community tab when I go to my YouTube home. So that's why I can't. I'm trying to reset the link, and it won't even let me. It won't even show me my YouTube community. So I'm not sure what to do about that. I was trying to get some more people on. Pretty Girl said the link's not working, but people have been coming on. Let me see. Let me try to copy this and send this to her. Hold on 1 second. Y'all not gonna see me. All right, I'm still here. I don't know why, but I'm having, okay, so more guests came, so the link must have worked because more guests came. Just in case y'all missed me. Let me see. I'm gonna get to the guests in a minute. Naisha Sawyers, love and respect. She says, I know a guy 10 plus years, say he loves me and wants me as a wife, just broke up with live-in girlfriend of 3 years over a month ago. Am I just his rebound? I don't think you're just his rebound, but I think it might be unsafe for him to start a new relationship at the moment. I don't think that it's time for him to start a new relationship. And if you're a guest in the backyard, I mean in the green room, I'll let you in a minute. It's not time for him to start a new relationship. He really needs to separate himself from this old relationship, so there's no overlap, so there's no phone calls, her calling back talking about I miss you, and it doesn't get messy. He needs to take some time and let this dissipate before he just jumps into being in a relationship with you. I would give him about 60, 90 days at least to just kind of, be single, not necessarily be with other women and stuff, but to let this die, to let this dissipate. Make sure that this is cut off, because you don't want any of those lingering feelings coming back while you're trying to explore your new relationship, and then you take damage just because he's not handled his shit and gotten it clear fully and completely. You know what I'm saying? So you're not just a rebound. He's probably thought about this for a number of years in his relationship when it wasn't working, but that doesn't mean he's ready right away. And I think that you need to give him a couple of months to just work out the details of what it means for them to truly be separated and how much they contact each other. Once you can trust that there's no coming back from it, then move forward. Because the concept of rebound is, it's legitimate and it's illegitimate. The concept of rebound insinuates that a man can't be done with a relationship while he's in it, which is not true. It insinuates that the first person that a person dates after a relationship is being used for their energy or sex or whatever, and that's not true as well. I think that sometimes it happens in the first relationship after a previous relationship doesn't often work, but it's not because you're some rebound like that. That's not always it. So I don't really like the concept of rebound because it's usually very dismissive of people who have a real connection. So that's where I'm at with that. But you need to make sure that he's completely separated from his ex and not get into anything that's pretty messy and dirty and still trying to smooth itself out. So I hope that helps. We're gonna get with Ish and then we're gonna get with Anonymous. Ish, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello. How you doing, Ish? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you. How are you?
What's your question? You're a little bit low. Your audio is very low, but I can hear you a little bit. What's your question?
Okay. Yeah, I have a question I want to ask, but I just need to give you like a little bit of a breakdown of the situation.
Okay. Well, hold on 1 second. I just want to make sure if it Megan, pretty girl, can you clip Megan's comment and text it to me, because I'm going to miss it if I'm on this call with Ish, and then I'll get to Megan and Mad right after I talk to Ish and Anonymous. Okay, so what was you saying, Ish? Go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, I broke up with a guy I was seeing for around like 5 months. I broke up with him over like certain things that he was doing that I felt like weren't really like in my way of
I
life.
need you to speak up a little bit. I'm having trouble hearing you.
Sorry, hello?
Yeah,
You can hear me now?
I can hear you better now. Yes.
Yeah, so I ended up breaking up with him because I felt like he was doing certain things that I would say is not really in like my way of life. And like, for example, he was like smoking and drinking. Obviously on our first day, he kind of like, how would I put it? Like he kind of explained like, obviously he was someone that would smoke, but he's not really a heavy smoker like that. When it came to drinking, he told me that he would drink on like special occasions, and I said I was like the same. And my idea of a special occasion would be like a wedding or something. But anyway, ever since I broke up with him, like he's been open but also cold at the same time. He seems like he doesn't care about like fixing anything. Keep in mind, in the relationship, he did treat me well. I would say like he treated me very well, to be honest. So I don't really understand, like, is he pretending at this moment that like our relationship, like I can't really tell if he's pretending like our relationship didn't like matter, because I don't know if I hurt his ego from when I broke up with him. I don't know if I feel like I hurt his ego, so he's trying to be cold towards me. So if I'm not making any sense right now, I'm trying to put it into like words, because this is like the first time I've ever spoken about it, to be honest, since the breakup. Yeah.
So you broke up with him, and he's
Yeah.
being cold to you. That's a problem because you want to get back with him, or you want to maintain communication?
Like when I broke up with him, when we was on the phone, I ended up breaking up with him over the phone, which I felt like I should have done that in person. But he was like to me, I realized that he was feeling some type of way, but he was like, can we remain friends? And I was just like, no, that I don't feel like that makes any sense for us to remain friends. Then it was a thing where, like a couple of days into
You speak
the
up a
breakup.
little bit.
Sorry, I don't have any headphones, and that's why it might sound
You're
quite
all right.
low. Yeah. Yeah, so a couple days into the breakup, we wasn't really talking, but it was just like a thing where he would, like, I would ask him back for certain things, and I would try to give him his things back. And whenever we would see each other, it would be a thing where, like, we wasn't cold towards each other, if you get what I mean. Like, we were still, we still could have a conversation. So obviously I started to feel like I wanted to, like, get back with him and sort out the situation, but it kind of just seemed like I don't know how to explain it. It just seemed like he went completely cold, and I know that he's not. Well, I feel like.
Did you just? I don't know. She must have. She somehow or another she disappeared. So to answer your question, it sounds like he's being cold because he's hurt. He's disappointed. His ego's hurt. He's mourning. You've changed the structure of the relationship, and now that's how he's going to proceed, because he's trying to protect himself from you, because he doesn't trust you. He doesn't trust your safe emotional investment, and he's trying to make sure that he keeps himself distant enough from you that you can't hurt him again. So he'll make use of you emotionally because he wants you emotionally, and you were connected to each other. And I'm not saying that he's a user. I'm just saying he'll get what he can get from you at the moment emotionally, because he still craves it. He seems to be hurt by it, but that's if you were in a real relationship. If you weren't in a real relationship, then he's just being cold. So you come back into him and resume contact. I don't know how close you were because you didn't mention it. If you were not close, he's just being cold because he doesn't want to deal with you unless you're a lot more malleable. But if you were close, he's hurt, and you can't decide how a person mourns, and he's trying to protect himself. But again, I don't know what the full context of the relationship was, because you didn't tell me how long you were dating and how serious it got, as far as I remember. I got 2 super chats, and then I got 2 guests. I got 3 guests in the back. So Or, Jen, and Sunshine, I'll be answering your questions pretty soon, so stay tuned. I'm about to answer Megan's question, and then I'll answer another super chat that came up while I was talking to, I can't even remember the young lady's name at the moment. But yeah, if he turns cold, if he turns into as somebody said, an iceberg, he's either trying to protect himself from you, or he's trying to manipulate you into coming closer to him to resume contact in the way that he wants to on his terms. But either way, it doesn't sound like you were in a good relationship because you didn't want it. It didn't do anything for you. Now you have been invalidated by the relationship, so now you're chasing it. But it's the same relationship that you didn't like before. Megan, I got dumped 2 weeks ago out of nowhere. No issues prior, no arguments, no fights or anything. Everything was great. Why do men do that? Megan, unfortunately enough, men don't. It's not a man thing. That's people. People do that. People are conflict avoidant, and when they don't want someone anymore, instead of just saying that, they well, he said it. He dumped you. I mean, so you gotta give him that. At least he didn't shit on you until you left. But people are conflict avoidant, so he doesn't necessarily want to have those conversations, those difficult conversations. Hey, you know, I need you to do this better. I want more of this in our relationship. Some people won't give you the argument; they'll just shut down and shut off. But women do that shit too. I can't tell you how many women I talked to that I thought, hey man, everything's going well, especially when I was a teenager. And then they just never talked to me again, never answered another phone call, never called me back, like just disappear off the face of the earth. People do that because they're conflict avoidant. But if you're not a person's picture of perfect, there's nothing you can do about that. So you got dumped 2 weeks ago out of nowhere. I don't know how long you were with this person, but there's nothing you can do to make a person want you, especially when they're incapable of communicating what they're not receiving from the relationship. Usually that just means a person didn't see you in their future. They didn't feel like it was had long-term potential, and they were not attracted enough to you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. It's not a man thing though. Women do that shit all the time, all the time. In fact, I just talked to somebody, one of my guy followers were telling me the same thing just happened to him recently. Women would disappear off the face of the earth once they've either had enough or decided that you're in the friend zone and they don't really want to be friends. So that's kind of a people thing, not necessarily a man thing. I got one more question from Mad, and then I think I got a question. So I got two questions. I got a question from Mad. What's the question? And then I got a question from Moon, and then I'm jumping back into the waiting room and having the video calls or the audio calls. Somebody can turn their camera on down. I'm not gonna beat your name up, Moon. Love and respect. She says, my boyfriend takes about a week between our dates and spending time together. I told him I would like to see him more often. No change. What can I do? You can't make him do anything he doesn't want to do, and you can't make him want to see you more. So this is the condition of your relationship. He doesn't have the capacity to handle you, deal with you, be around you, and accompany you as much as you would like. You have to figure out what your threshold is, what your exit point is if you're not getting what you want in a relationship. He doesn't want to be around you, and you can't do anything to do that. And maybe he's busy, maybe he's prioritizing other things. But if he's busy and he's prioritizing other things, that just means you're not high enough on his list of importance. Again, you can't make him find you more important than you already have. You've already accomplished at this point. So if he's deciding that you're not important and you fall under all of these other things that he might prioritize, your only option is to figure out if you are willing to continue with this limited contact and with this type of style of relationship where it's not collaborative. He's deciding when you see each other. You're seeing him on his times. You're talking on his times. If you don't have a collaborative relationship, then that's a red flag for me. And if it's not good enough for you, then you have to be willing to walk away. And like I said, I could stretch that, but I don't know if it's necessary. I feel like that's solid. Like you don't. Sometimes we overcomplicate things, and that can be problematic for us. Let me make sure I got the last super chat because I think I missed Mad's second super chat or whatever was the last super chat. Pretty girl, let me know if I missed that super chat because now I'm confused. I don't even know if I got all the super chats. So I'm gonna jump back into this, and if I miss a super chat, I'll dig into it. But we're gonna add to stream or R. I don't know how to say your name, so sorry if I mispronounced it. If you have a camera, you can turn it on. That's lovely too. But if not, we can video call. Or audio call? Can you hear me? Is everything
I can
good?
hear you. Can you hear me?
You're very, very low, so I'm gonna have to put my face really close to the camera. But just speak up as much as you can.
I'm using my headset, so it's super low.
Okay.
Or is this better?
Nah, you're very, very low.
Okay, let me try plugging it out and seeing if there's feedback or what. Is that any better?
That's a little bit better. Yeah. So just speak. Just speak up, and I can hear you.
Okay. Well, thanks for taking my call, Kevin. I've had a personal consultation with you before, actually.
Now I can't hear you anymore. You guys like stay up.
Okay. Thanks for taking my call, Kevin. I had a personal consultation with you already before, but since then my whole situation has basically changed. And so going into the new year, I really want to. Is it that low?
Yeah. I can't hear shit. I can
Is
hear
it
you, but you
better?
like, can you hear me? And you go loud, and then you go back to being quiet.
No, I'm talking so loud, like my whole voice is echoing. Should I put my headset back in? Was it better?
It might be a little bit better, yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay, how's
Better.
this?
Better.
Okay. Good. So basically, we've spoken previously, and my entire situation has changed. And so going into 2022, I just really want to finally have like a healthy and stable relationship. And so I want to make sure that I don't keep making the same mistakes in order to hopefully achieve that. So basically, I have two main things that I'm kind of I guess struggling with, you could say. One is like I don't like having sex with men because I feel like and like I always feel used after somehow. Like for some women it's enough like to have gotten the pleasure of that or whatnot. But for me, it just doesn't feel like it's enough. I need like a deeper commitment and just knowing like the person's gonna call the next day, they're gonna be there for you if you have a problem. But it's like that's not being offered by modern men right now. And so I find a really struggle dating in this sort of climate because like my needs and what I need isn't really being offered as like standard anymore. And it's like I'm some sort of alien for wanting this. Even though if women were honest, it's what most women want, you know, and I can't like pretend like, oh yeah, I'm fine with fast sex and all this sort of thing because it doesn't work for me and I've tried it when I was younger and it hurts me and so I'm not going to do it. So it's like if it's either that or be single, is that the only choice? I don't think so, but I'm trying to kind of navigate modern dating while you know, also
Yeah.
keeping my standards. So yeah.
I hear you, pretty girl. My wife was texting me. Shit. All right, so I I got you. Yeah, so I'm gonna answer your question, but as far as the audio, like I'm trying to do my thing. I keep every time I get a text message, it mutes the audio. So that's why I can't do both. But I can tell you, I heard your question. Next time I'll listen to my live on audio when I have trouble hearing it, or everybody by mic, or I'll get off my phone. I'll be on my computer, so my audio will be perfect. But right now on the phone, it just has these hangups, usually between Android and iPhone. But to your point, R, I think I don't mean to beat your
Use
name
it
up.
or, you know.
So one of the problems is modern women, and I hate this argument because it doesn't do anybody any good, but it's the truth. It's one of the truths. Women aren't as modern anymore. They're not modern. Or women aren't as classic as they were, but women still want classic men. Women want traditional relationship structures, but they don't behave traditionally. I keep saying this. It's not about like the totality of the dating community right now. It's not about one sex being wrong and the other sex being right. It's about what works for the betterment of everybody. What's best for the civilization? What's best for the civilization is classic women and classic men. That leads to relationships. Sexually revolutionized women and irresponsible modern men will screw into their blue in the face. We'll still have babies, but we won't have healthy relationships. I'm sorry. So a lot of men have decided, well, I don't need classic values because women aren't displaying classic values, and women are saying I don't need classic values because men aren't displaying classic values. There are still a lot of classic men, and there are still a lot of classic women. But the dating pool for them is so much smaller than it is for everybody. And so I'm not sure what you into. I'm not sure what your types are. I'm not sure what your level of kink is. I don't know what you're into, whether that's be a man's job, a man's career, a man's personality type, a man's height, a man's this or that. I don't know what any of that is for you. But I can tell you, what you probably want to start using as the first thing that you shop for is the classic values that you're looking for. And then of those men that you deal with or date, make your selections. But right now, like, there's nothing that can be done outside of individuals deciding that they are going to reinstate classic values in the way they behave and what they select. And until the requirement to get in a woman's pants is love, commitment, relationship, dedication, until that's the requirement, the majority of men are going to do what comes easy, which is, screw women and disregard them. It's not women's fault that this is happening, right? It's a combination of people at fault, and it's both sexes are at fault. But I can't tell you in your dating atmosphere, in your dating ecosystem, how to date more successfully, because I don't know which ecosystem you're in. I don't know what the culture is around you. I don't know what you are getting in your inbox or who you're turning down. I'd have to talk to you specifically about that. Again, I think I might have spoken to you before. I would have to get very specific with you. But as a whole, the dating atmosphere is wrecked. And I'm really losing faith in it because too many people are getting famous, giving the wrong messages out, multiplying their ignorance among people, and really, unfortunately enough, magnifying the worst qualities in people and making those the parameters to find love. So unless people decide that they want to actually take a stand on classic values and stop trying to be modern, men and women, we're going to have a problem on our hands. And in 20 years, maybe 30 years, there might not even be a marriage or no such thing as committed relationships, because everybody's just hopping in bed with each other and then trying to figure it out after the fact. And unfortunately enough, it's sexy and sexist and mansplaining as that might sound to some people. The access to a woman is given by her and granted by her, and until that access is granted to greater men, there are going to be these types of guys and this type of dating atmosphere. It's not women's fault, but women have the power to change it, because everything that men do revolves around getting a woman to bed or getting a woman in the home. And again, not to blame women. So I hope that helps, but I don't know if it can. I would need to talk to you again. If you did talk to me, text me and give me some more details about your situation.
Okay, can I ask another really quick question? It's not very personal, it's broad, so I think it could help a lot of other women too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a Black woman, as I think a lot of the viewers are, and I have natural hair, and I wear my hair natural. I have no problem with it. I've been natural my whole life, pretty much. But I find when I do my hair in extensions or braids, the attention is just like night and day. People will hold doors. People will be so nice to me. I will get stopped and get compliments, and of course, I like that. And the thing is, like, when it comes to dating, I want to attract someone that really likes me. All the time I've dated, I've had like extensions, and then they've also seen me with my natural hair, and they also like it. But it's like, to start, it seems like it makes more sense strategically to have that sort of, luxurious illusion, and then kind of, show your more natural self as things progress. But I was wondering, do you think it would make more sense to just like start at like your default hair, and then if someone's attracted to you in that state, like, then it will lead to like a healthier relationship? I don't know if you know what I mean by that.
That's a very good question. There's a lot of nuance in what people's preferences are, right? And I'm gonna answer this, and then I'll go into Sunshine, Anonymous, or Jen. But that's a very good question. I like the nuance. What happens is this. You sound like I think you were in the UK. You're in the UK, right?
I actually live in Germany.
Germany. Okay, so whether you're in UK, you're in Germany, you're in America, you're in Australia. To be honest, any colonized nation, we're gonna be honest, any colonized nation, the standard of beauty is a Eurocentric standard of beauty. They control media, they control industry, they control systems, they control everything. We have no systems in place, like, at all, and no government, even around the world. Colonization determines everything, and it affects everything. what happens is we start to hate the alleles that show up in our personhood, right? And we don't like our lips, we don't like our nose. The only thing that we really bring to the table that people are paying for is is our bodies, our strength, our physiques, our just our majesty as it pertains to some of those physical things that come from our bloodline. It just, they decide the standard of beauty. Industry decides the standard of beauty. And traditionally, in colonized nations or colonizer-run nations or white nations or whatever you want to call it, you're going to be up against whatever standard of beauty is applied to a white woman. That's just the bottom line. The beauty about that is, though, this: men who require a woman to bend and break herself to those standards of beauty are normally men who lack knowledge of self. So men who start to hate themselves and are taught self-hatred through the system of the Eurocentric beauty standard are always going to completely disregard a woman wearing her natural hair because they don't feel connected to that, right? They're not connected to their if they have an African lineage. I mean, Black people all over the world, so they're not just from Africa, but whatever Black lineage they come from, they're not necessarily connected to that nature of themselves anymore. And so when you get these guys who don't look at women who wear their natural hair, then, I mean, to be quite honest, they're giving you a signal that they might not be in connection to, their own roots, and they might have some self-hatred, subconsciously brewing. While you might get less
Most of these men are
attention.
white. I don't know. As an aside.
Oh, if you're talking
Yeah.
about white men, a white man ain't never. I mean, a white man will. Some white men will, but most white men aren't going to look at a woman with natural hair and think, "Oh, she's so beautiful," unless he's fetishizing you because of your natural hair. But to be fetishized and be respected and loved and adored are two different things. So if you're talking about white men, you're going to get less responses from white men when you look more natural, because that's just something that they don't identify with. And again, they determine the beauty standards, not individuals, but systematically. And Black men who require the Eurocentric beauty standard to be displayed by a Black woman have either no knowledge of self, or for whatever reason they lack that type of awareness and affinity for their own blood and their own being. And so that's something that you can't help. But I can tell you the attention that you get from men when you are wearing your natural hair will likely be a better and a more quality attention than the types of attention you get from guys who require you to be pristine and present yourself in a way that would assimilate you to the Eurocentric standard of beauty. Now that's a 15-hour conversation. There's not enough room for that here.
Yeah.
But to a degree, I hope that helps. We spoke. If you want to, you can text me any directional questions you want to as it pertains to that, if I didn't answer them. And
Thank you so much, Kevin. Take care. Bye.
No problem. You too. All right. Let me see. Jen. Let me talk to Jen. Jen, can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. What's going on? I can hear you fine.
Hey. Hi. I want to say thanks for taking my call.
No problem.
I did have a question just regarding something that's fresh that I just recently went through that I'm not really sure how to feel or how to interpret with the guy that I've been in a relationship with for 3 years. We did break up. We broke up for about 6 weeks. We ended up getting back together, and I found out that he had sex with 2 females during our breakup. So I'm just, initially when I found out, I'm not gonna lie, I was hurt. And I'm just wondering if I am, if I'm overly being emotional about this because we were broken up, or, should I have some concern because he did sleep with one of these females within a week of us breaking up. So that's my question. Is it a concern, or am I looking at it in the wrong way because we weren't in a relationship?
So from what I got, and I was trying to listen to it on my iPad, but there's a delay from what I hear from you and what I hear on the iPad. So that's why I can't listen to the live on my iPad, because it delays, and now I'm hearing two different sounds. So what I'm hearing from you is you broke up with him. The guy apparently dated some women and had sex with a woman really quick before you got back together.
Yeah, that's correct. But it was two females that he had sex with during our breakup of 6 weeks.
Well, you were broken up for 6 weeks, and did he have sex with this woman while you were still like in contact working on it, or were you not talking while he had sex with this woman?
So no, we weren't talking.
We're not talking?
Correct. Yes.
If he was a free man broken up and he was not in contact with you, he did what any man would do. Just go find some new tail. That's just what guys are going to do. They're going to try to figure out how to get over you emotionally by entertaining other feminine energy. And for the most part, men are having, good men have, it's a job to not fall into temptation and be with other women. So if he was being faithful to you, if his loyalty wasn't a concern in your relationship, and then he took the first opportunity he had to sleep with a woman because you broke up with him and y'all wasn't talking, hell, you gave him to the streets. That's an L on your part, from what I hear. Now, do you have to worry about that woman? What concerned me is if he was in contact with that woman while you were together, and then he took that opportunity and he had built that tension up while you were together. That would concern me. So was that woman someone he was in contact with while you were in a relationship, or did he meet her, have sex with her, and then get back with you?
So that's the big question. That's what I'm, that's pretty much what I don't know, is because after we broke up, it did take him, like I said, it was a week, and he slept with one of the two females that he did sleep with. So I don't know if maybe he was in contact with her already, or maybe he was talking to her already. But it seemed like it was kind of fast. So that's why I'm like,
well, yeah, hell, if you break up with a man and hell 3 or 4 days, you gave him to the streets, right? So because men work so hard when they are faithful to stay faithful, and not to mansplain this, but men are always tempted to try to find some strange, to be quite honest. When a guy breaks up with a woman, he immediately thinks, oh God, I can sleep with somebody else. This is natural. Now, if he was grooming that relationship up until the point that you broke up, that's wrong. And so I think that maybe trying to figure out the context of the relationship. And I see y'all super chats. I'm gonna get to y'all super chats after this call, and I'll go back and answer the next call. But if a guy was grooming those relationships, that's wrong. But if you can't prove that he was grooming those relationships, then your anxiety might get the best of you. But that doesn't mean that you're correct in any assumptions that you make. And unfortunately enough, that's why you can't be doing this on and off again shit. I don't do on and off again. I'm either on or off pretty much forever. I don't go back and forth. At least I didn't, because you giving somebody back to the streets, and you allowing now somebody else, a third party, a fourth party, to come into your relationship when you're really not done with each other. And so the best thing to do is to try to find compromise, try to work things out, get your counseling, or just listen and open your ears, try to understand each other more than you understand your own argument. But once you decide you're going to break up with somebody and you call it an official breakup, hell, if he slept with 100 women, you gave him to the streets. So you got to be very, very aware and be able to stand on that and take that. And if you don't have the heart for the activities that might happen, if he in fact gets loose and he's allowed to roam, then you should become a better conflict negotiator, or he should. And sometimes a guy will avoid conflict negotiation because he wants that break. Now that's a whole nother conversation, but I wouldn't worry so much about who he had sex with when you were on break, as long as he's not in contact with them now and he wasn't in contact with them before. I think you can still ask a few questions about the context of that relationship. If there's any contact now, I think that you just want to make sure that contact is broken between that person, and hope that they're some insignificant character Because if they are, he doesn't care about breaking that contact anyway. Most times when a guy's just getting something after a relationship, it's literally just him going to get some. It's not like it's an important person. Most of the time, a guy's not going to run right into somebody who's more important to you because it just looks like another commitment brewing, and he's not looking for that. So I don't think you have to worry about that person. But again, I don't know the context of your relationship, and I also don't know how honest and truthful your significant other would be about where that relationship started, where he met that person, where it came from. But you can ask those questions, but you get more information from him than you would from me. So that's all I can tell you about that. I'm going to dig into the super chat. I hope that helps though.
It does, very much so. Thank you.
No problem. I see I got more guests. I'm going to dig into my guests, but I got to hit these super chats. Pretty girl, I missed those two super chats that disappeared. I think I have 4 up here. I only see 2. So I'm going to dig into these 2, and I want you to send me those other 2. Megan says, should single women look in a way that makes them happy, or in the way that makes men attracted to them, or is that thirsty? I think that you should dress the way you plan to dress in a relationship. You're advertising your relationship quality. So if you don't show up, if you're, let's say you don't like to dress sexy, you like to wear baggy jeans, baggy shirts, and hat to the back like me. If you're about to dress like that in a relationship, then you can't false advertise to a man that you got all this sex appeal and you just walking around working it, and you're not the type of person that's working it. Like, don't misrepresent yourself. So it's not necessarily about dressing to make you happy, because what we wear doesn't necessarily make us happy. It pleases us for the moment. It makes us look good enough. Maybe we feel comfortable in it, right? We feel like we look our best. Look your best. If that's something that you normally do. But as whether or not you dress for the attraction for men or not is that's stupid. You're gonna dress for how you dress. Be who you are. Be what you are. And if that attracts men, great. That doesn't attract men, then maybe you need to figure out how to be more genuinely you, but also be a little bit more attractive, right? So there's a balance there. Don't dress for men because it's not genuine. And as soon as you get used to a man, you're gonna start dressing like a bum again if you dress like a bum. So you have to make a compromise. Maybe you don't like to dress sexy, and I don't want you dressing sexy because you think a man's gonna like you, because as soon as he gives you validation, now you put yourself in an emotionally compromising situation based on a person's validation because you might not be used to it. So dress how you would be comfortable dressing. But do your best to present well, right? Don't go out looking raggedy. Display that you have good enough hygiene that a person should be attracted to you. And if style is an issue that you have, as long as it's within your reasonable limits, get some help with your style. But don't dress sexy for men. Just dress in a way that you can respect and you can feel comfortable in. That's genuine to something that you can keep up. It's like a yo-yo diet. People get on these crazy diets, they can lose a bunch of weight in a week or 2, but you can't live like that. It's not sustainable. So everything you should do, everything you do needs to be sustainable, whether it's a diet or your clothes. But it should be something that you can keep up with and still be genuinely you. If you start dressing like a whore because whores get a lot of attention, and you like dressing like that, or you only dress like that because you like the attention, but you don't really like dressing like that, you just like the attention, then that's thirsty, right? So dress in a way that is legitimate to you. And if that's not enough to attract a guy, then that's not the guy you're looking for. That's not your audience. The guys who accept the type of person you are will accept what you dress, how you dress. Fitness Mom, love and respect. Thank you for the $50 super chat. And Pretty Girl sent me a couple super chats I missed, so I'm definitely gonna get to these super chats. Tia and Tom and Penelope Pitstock. I'm gonna get to your super chats right after this. Fitness Mom, she says, my ex of 8 years and I broke up. He still kept seeing me when he was with someone new. You kept seeing him when he was with someone new, right? It's a shared responsibility. Eventually he completely ghosted me and never cared again. How? Well, he was weaning himself off of you with the physical connection and the subdued and the muted emotional and communicative connection. When a guy moves on from your relationship, but he stays behind physically, he's really just getting himself used to the idea of you not being his life, you not being the primary feminine source of energy in his life. He's getting himself prepared to let you go. And as he cares more about his relationship, he'll care less about the physical connection that he's maintaining with you. And so as that woman gains importance and gains his loyalty, if he has loyalty to give, any at all, which it doesn't sound like it, but she can gain importance to him no matter how disloyal he is. The more important she becomes, the less important your sex becomes, because if you're in a relationship, you can't talk to that person every day. He's not on the phone with you. It's not always an emotional connection. You're not always sharing energy and things of that nature. So you were being minimized just in a long-term sense, and she was being maximized as she grew in her relationship and her connection with him and her trust with him, and vice versa. So that's how he ghosted you, because you were a toy. You were his stress release, and you were the familiar thing that he needed to anchor himself in while he learned about how to love, or how to be loved by another woman who he probably doesn't deserve because he's a cheater. So that's how he never cared about you again. It's the same thing that people do when they're afraid to leave their job because they hate their job, but they want to start a new career because that new career seems really inspiring and it makes more money, but they don't trust it yet because they could lose that job at any minute. So what they do is they moonlight at their other job while starting their new job. And so they do overtime at their other job, or they go support at their other job, and they still show up from time to time because it anchors them to a sense of security that they're going to be all right. They can survive if something bad happens, but they're really not invested in their old job, and they left it for good reason. They didn't want it, but this new job is scary because it's unfamiliar. And that's what he was doing with you. That new woman was unfamiliar. He didn't know if he could trust her emotionally, and he was keeping you in that place so you could be a stress relief, you could be a pressure release valve, and he could also feel like he was living the same life with a familiar face and a familiar person, but also be moving into a new life. So he kind of used you as a transition. I'm sorry to hear that. And that's how he didn't care about you again, because he's committing to either his relationships or different side chicks. And that's why women never allow yourself to be the other woman. That's just not, it doesn't do you any favors. It's not worth it. The debate with the dark-skinned guy from the Manosphere was fire. Kev, great job. So she's talking about my talk with Reese. It wasn't really a debate. See, Reese is a good guy. Reese is one of those solid brothers that follow my I love you too, Pretty Girl. So Pretty Girl's not moderating anymore. So if I miss a super chat, I'm just gonna be missing the super chat because she's usually my back, but she's put my boys down probably, or doing something for them. She might be back later, but the debate with the guy from the Manosphere, that brother's name is Reese. Reese is a solid guy. Reese is one of those guys in my comment section he's a father, he's a husband, he loves his daughter, he loves his son, he's training them up to be great people. People assumed it was a debate because it was like me versus him, but that's marketing. You do what you can to get people to click on the thumbnail. But if you listen to 5 minutes of the conversation, a lot of times you realize that me and Reese on the same side. He just he's playing devil advocate because he understands, he watches that stuff, and he had been a part of that community until it started changing into a He-Man Woman Haters Club. So he's a little bit disappointed with the direction that the Manosphere has taken as well. And that's why we was talking. And then he went on a guy's page and then debated that guy about what was wrong with the Manosphere. That, he went to O'Shea Duke Jackson's page and talked to him about some stuff. So Reese is a good dude. He's a solid dude. He's a gentleman. But I appreciate the fact that you watched that conversation. People was asking me, why did you do that? Listen, Reese had me on his channel for an interview, and he allowed me to use that video. That was not my production. That was not my editing. It was definitely not my branding. That was the Carbon Ops. That was Reese, Mr. Black's. That was his YouTube channel. And he just said, hey, you can use the video. And so what I did was I gave his channel enough time to get all the views he was going to get from it, and then I put it on my channel to elevate it, for myself. But that was Reese inviting me on that to have that great conversation. Y'all see Reese more often. Reese is my dog. Reese jump in this conversation. Reese be super chatting me. Reese is a solid dude, great man, and I appreciate his friendship. And he's a good brother. You just got to listen to that conversation a little bit more closer. He's actually in agreement with me with most of the stuff. He has to play devil's advocate because the guys that watch him want him to tear into me or tear into a brother like me because they want me to answer the hard questions. And that's what he was doing. It was just asking me the hard questions for his male audience that want me torn down or whatever. Or might not, they good. Yeah, they might be good guys too. But Penelope Pitstock, this is a super chat, and then I'm gonna get back into the guest. So if you are in the waiting room, Ish, Anonymous, and Sunshine, I'll be getting to you right after the super chat. Penelope Pitstock said, single 3 years. I'm 38. I want to start dating soon and not repeat past mistakes. Should I wait for a guy to make the first move, e.g., dating app approach? I can tell you that your past mistakes probably wasn't even in relationship to who decided to make contact first. So waiting for a guy to make the first move is it's classic. So hey, if you want to do that, do it. But there's no indication on the quality of a relationship that a man is offering based on who started it or who who approached the conversation first. I can tell you that if you see a guy on a social media app, not a dating app, but a social media app, you can approach him intellectually and speak about the context of whatever conversation is happening in the comment section. That's an easy way to start conversations with a plausible deniability that you're coming on to them. But if you're on a dating app, I don't think it's wrong for you to ping at a person or swipe on them or whatever. When women go wrong, not when they approach guys or make an introduction. Women go wrong when they chase guys, when they take shit from guys, when they lay down with guys who don't love them. That's where women go wrong. Women ain't going wrong just by saying hi first. So you don't necessarily have to wait for a guy to make the first move in approaching you on a dating app. You just have to make sure you're presenting your best self, and that when if and when a man responds to you, you're not willing to take no shit, and you're not willing to allow him to abuse you in any way. You're not willing to give him access to anything he doesn't deserve based on the amount of familiarity and the time you've known him. So that's what women need to understand. It's not about who starts it. It's about who's managing it, who's finishing it, and a lot of times that becomes the guy because he starts it, he starts to control it, and then he dictates where it goes. That's the mistake, not who started it. Sunshine, add to stream. We're gonna add you to stream, Sunshine. Love and respect. Can you hear me? Turn your mic on. Your mic's off, Sunshine.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Good evening, Kevin. Thank you for taking the call.
No problem.
I have this is a multi-level issue, but I'm going to try to break it down as much as I can for the sake of time. I am of an older persuasion, I would say in my early 50s.
Say that again. What
I said
persuasion?
I am of an older
Okay.
persuasion. I'm in my 50s. And my question is this, or maybe I just want to hear your thoughts on it. I dated a gentleman in my early 20s. We are both professionals in the same career. And we had a breakup when we were, again, in our early 20s due to infidelity on his part. Moving forward over the course of 25 years, we both obviously had relationships, went on. He's had children, I've had children, both never married. Okay. And during the course of those years, we did maintain some contact, intimate contact early on, but not so much in the latter years. So moving forward to today, neither of us are married. We've still maintained a pretty admirable friendship, attraction still there, etc. He's single, I'm still single. Here's the problem. The past relationships that he has had, both publicly and relationships sexually that wasn't public, with just say friends, let's just say that. He still maintains relationships with these people for the sake of their children. Now, the children are not his. However, I guess during the course of the relationships, you know, if they had children, you bonded, etc., etc. And over 25 years, these people are adults now, some of which even had children. So we're talking ex's children plus possible grandchildren by the sake of name. And doesn't seem there's no option of these people, if you will, being cut off. just by virtue of the quote bond. Okay. So now moving forward with myself, we don't have children, but we are exploring, getting back together and moving into relationship and possible marriage. Now, I have a huge problem that there is still these connections to these people, some of which is obvious that they are, while he may be disconnected from them in terms of wanting to be with him, I do know factually that some others are not. So, what are your thoughts on, should I just continue to keep it a fallback? Or should I just say huge red flag and keep it moving?
I assume you're talking about the women and not the children.
In terms of what?
In terms of them standing
Still having contact?
Yeah.
Oh no, it's the older adult children plus the children that they had. So in other words, the person claims the ex's children as his own, but they're not biologically.
Right.
And then they've had children who the person may say, that's their grandchildren.
Right. So I
have a huge problem with it.
I think it's appropriate to expect him to stop communicating with the ex. That's the relationship, that's romantic, that's sexual, that's a lot of different things. But it's not a proper request to tell him to stop communicating with the grown children and or the grandchildren. That's a different type of bond. Like, I'm still in contact with my old stepfather. And he has a new wife. But hell, he was with my mom for 10 years 12 years between the ages of 11 and 23. Maybe it was 11 years, but between 11 and 23, 11 and 21, he was my mom's husband.
Right.
And so he's contributed a great deal to the man
that you've become.
And he still picks my phone calls up like it's love, and I don't think that that's a proper request. I don't think you're competing with them.
Let me make it clear. I haven't made the request that it be cut off. I would never do that because, again, I'm of an older persuasion, have been in relationships as well. So I have those type of connections as well of my past relationships. So I'm not blind to that. I don't have a problem with it. My problem per se is the former women of those children also then gives you connection as well. You understand what I'm saying? And we're dealing with multiple women. It's hard enough to deal with somebody that you've had children with.
Right.
And then, that's a whole nother dynamic. But when you're dealing with exes and their children, and there's no biological ties.
Right. Right. So
that's really hairy. You know what I'm saying?
It's absolutely hairy. I think that excluding any of the adult children or grandchildren, the women themselves, it's a formal, proper, normal request for you, or even expectation for you to hope that he would discontinue communication with them. People remaining friends with people that they don't really need in their lives, or they've determined that they can't live their lives with now. I don't know how they become indispensable as an ex when they were not indispensable as a partner. So what you're saying is absolutely correct as far as the women need to be, excommunicated. But if it's not in his heart to do that, then again, you need to figure out, and I got to get off soon because I got actually supposed to start a call at 9 or not 9, but 8 o'clock my time. So Jess, if you're watching, I'm gonna get off of here soon enough and we can start our call. I think you free tonight though, so we good. But it's proper for you to ask for him to discontinue with the exes, because those are boundaries that don't need to be there. Like, he doesn't need to put a boundary around these old relationships and compartmentalize them and guard them. That's a
Right.
red flag.
Right.
The kids, they should always be able to call, show up,
Absolutely.
need
I
something.
agree.
I don't give a damn if they're 40. If a man raises a child as his own, that's just the type of guy he was. He wants to remain that guy. That would be weird. But them women, he didn't have to stay in contact with them. My father-in-law doesn't talk to my mom, but
Right.
he returns my phone calls, right? He still calls
So
me
if
son.
it's not in his heart to disconnect, then what would be the response?
You need to figure out if that's a fireable offense, or if that's something that you can make peace with. Because what's the nature of the
Especially
relationship?
if they are still holding the torch, if you
Right.
will.
So if there's unnecessary communication, if the women themselves don't respect the boundaries that you put in place, let's
Mm-hmm.
say you say, okay, listen, I know you'll be in contact with them, you'll see them because you're gonna go over so and so's house on Christmas, or you're gonna go on so and so's house the day after Thanksgiving and just show your face for the holidays. And I know that
Mm-hmm.
mama gonna be over there. I get that. That's one thing, but she don't need to be calling you. Y'all don't need to be on the phone, kikiing all night and things of that nature. If he's like, well, wait, but we're friends. If he's protecting these friendships, now
Mm-hmm.
you got a problem. So you got to move on. But if all he's going to
Okay.
do is see them on holidays when he happens to be over there at the same time as their mom stepping by, that's not as bad. But there needs to be a personal disconnect from each of these women, and
Gotcha.
only in that circumstance can you move on in good conscience with this gentleman.
Gotcha. Thank you
So
so much.
no problem. And like I said, you got to be willing to walk away. If you can't it can't come to an understanding, you got to be willing to walk away. Okay.
Got it. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
No problem. All right. Let me see. Hold on. I got a text message. So I'm gonna go black, but I'm not doing that. Let me just check my text message. I'm almost back. All right, I'm back. Solid. Okay, so I do have to start a call here in a couple of minutes, so I'm gonna have to get off of here. Let me make sure I got all my guests in. I'm gonna Ish. Let me talk to Anonymous and Ish, and these are my last questions, and then I'm getting off. Um, Anonymous, love and respect. Can you hear me? Anonymous probably didn't realize it was on. Okay. Let me see. Ish,
Hello?
can you hear me? Hey,
Yeah.
you've been very patient, Ish. Thank you so much for your patience. It's been a minute.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for
Sorry
having me back
sorry it
on.
took so long. What can I do for you?
Yeah, so when I was talking earlier, it cut off, so I didn't get to hear what you were saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were talking about what were you talking about? You were talking about the
Yeah, so
what were you talking about the date?
sorry?
I can't remember what your question was.
Yeah, so I was saying that I was in a relationship for like almost 5 months, and
Mm-hmm.
where the relationship went wrong is like the guy that I was with was doing certain things that I didn't find acceptable. But the
Oh,
thing, the
and that's the
thing,
guy you broke up with, right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
you broke up with him, and now he's being cold.
yeah. It's the thing where he's hot and cold.
All right.
That's the thing.
But
I've seen him.
why does that matter if he's not offering the relationship that you want?
Because I'm not gonna lie, like obviously I broke up with him over like standards basically,
Spoke.
but it's a thing where within those 5 months, like he wasn't drinking or smoking, even though he told me like in the beginning where we both established like, yeah, we drink at special occasions. Obviously I'm not I don't I'm not for smoking, but I didn't think that he was a hard smoker like that until maybe 3 months in, that's when I kind of, no, 3 months in, that's when I kind of started to see things. It's like he was, like I was slowly starting to see things, but it's a thing where obviously it matters to me because the fact that he went 5 months without doing those things for so long, it's like I kind of still see potential, and I might be wrong for that. I might be wrong. I can own that.
Well,
But
that makes sense. But now, does he see potential? You're talking about him being hot and cold. He's protecting himself from you. He doesn't believe that you are here to stay, and he's now applying strategy. He's applying strategy to the way he handles you, which is wrong. So the best you can do is be friends with him until he normalizes, until he creates a pattern of consistency. But trying to jump into a relationship with him while he's being hot and cold is going to create damage in you. Because
can I also say, like, with the friends thing, like, obviously when I was in the process of breaking up with him, and he mentioned that, obviously I said no because I felt as though, I've never been friends with an ex. Once I say, like, it's done, it's done. Like, I feel like, when you remain friends, that person might be trying to, reap the benefits of what you guys had in that relationship. Yeah.
But for whatever reason, you didn't do that here. Like, you maintain contact.
No. Obviously, I did tell him, if I asked him if he could, like, bring certain things to me, certain things that I had at his house to me. He came twice, and the second time he kind of stayed for a while, and his energy just it reminded me of, like, how he was in the relationship. He was the same.
It sounds like you haven't just told. If you want to be back with the dude, just say that. But trying to get him to come over your house and do you favors and shit, you're gonna get hot.
No, I mean, like, I can't. Obviously, I was telling him to bring my stuff because I was feeling like it was over, but then it was like, after that, again, I might be wrong in the situation. I can really own that, but it's like, after that, I was just like, is this what I really want? Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie right now. I do want to be with him, but I am very confused, especially about the whole hot and cold thing. Like, I don't know.
Right, but I think you need to just have a conversation with him about where the relationship has the potential to go now that you've broken it off. You can get more clarity. You can get more clarity from him than you can from me or anybody at the moment, because he's the one that's feeling like he's been abandoned. So
he said that at one point. He said that.
So what I would suggest you do is just to have a conversation with him and figure out if this is the new norm of your relationship, or is he still going through something? What is he willing to do to reconnect? Ask him that. What is he willing to do to reconnect? Is reconnection a possibility? Because you're not over him. You want to be with him. Trying to be fake friends isn't going to do you any favors. He's going to be hot and cold because he's annoyed and he doesn't trust you. So now you have to reestablish trust and reestablish a new norm, whatever that might be. But you have to come to him with some vulnerability and just ask him, is he going to forgive this, or is he going to get around it? Is he going to move past it or move forward with you or not? But like I said, you get probably more clarity from him than you can from me, just because I don't know him. But I got to get off of here. I got a call I'm supposed to start. I'm a couple minutes behind, but it's all good.
Thank you for having me again.
No problem. I appreciate you. I appreciate your call. And did Anonymous jump in? Let me see.
Hello?
Anonymous, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes. You were my last question. and then I got to start a call.
Okay, I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. Okay. So I was in a situationship for 6 years. I know, crazy, stupid, my fault. The person that I was in this situationship with, when we first started to deal with one another, he was out of a divorce a year or 2 years. So his initial thing was he needed to rebuild. We dated or we went out. Things were cool. Um, he knew that I wanted more.
Mm-hmm.
And his response was always like he wanted more, but he just kind of needed to adjust because of the divorce. Throughout this time, periodically, I would ask, what are we doing? And I would get, oh, well, our bond is deeper than some people that are married. And it seems as though you are more concerned with a title than our relationship. So in the moment, I would be like, you know what, you're right. I'm sorry. I would apologize because I didn't want him to feel like what he was doing wasn't something that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But then later on, I would feel like, okay, is this gay? So move on to earlier this year. He decided to come to me. Well, he told me that he felt like all of his relationships were one-sided and that he needed to readjust and regroup. And I'm like, okay, so I didn't know you felt that way regarding me. So what have I personally done to make you feel like this situation is one-sided? And his response was, well, everything isn't about you. And if I'm doing this with my mother and my kids, what makes you think that you're not going to get the same thing? And so there would be things that would happen throughout in the beginning of the year that made me feel like, okay, he stopped coming around as much. Phone calls, text messages dwindled. Um, I asked him, I was like, seems like you're done. It got to the point where he went on like 3 vacations. I found out via Facebook. He ended up unfollowing or unfriending me on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And then I asked, he told me that because I did go to a mutual friend and ask what their thoughts were, the guy told me it doesn't take 6 years for a man to figure out whether or not he wants to be with you. So he felt like I betrayed him and that I was disrespecting him by going.
You realize that this man has just manipulated you in a position where you serve him, but he doesn't have to serve you.
I
Now
don't.
he's faking outrage about you asking somebody about this. Fuck this guy. Like, first of all, you should never. Listen, for whoever might be watching, for all 231 of you, if a man tells you that he's not interested in titles, and I don't give a fuck how he articulates it, and I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking to you, Ruff.
Right.
I'm just so frustrated for people. Listen, if a man articulates to you in any way, intellectually, scientifically,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally, that he's not big on titles and people just need to worry about the connect. If any man denies and avoids a title, and he explicitly explains that that's not his concern and da da da. I don't give a damn how he articulates it, how great, how smoothly he says it. He will never commit to you. If I don't give a damn, you should never have sex with a man after he tells you his whole speech about why titles aren't important.
Mm-hmm.
You will never have a relationship with that guy, and your situationship will run its course because in his mind it is a relationship. You've given him every relationship benefit. You've been his girlfriend, but he hasn't been your man.
Right.
He started you being his girlfriend. If you were in a relationship, he would have broken up with you at this point. But because you're not in a relationship, he didn't have to break up. He just had to step back. But this man is not worth fighting for. He's not even worth asking me a question about. Which you have to start doing because life is short. You ain't got 6 more years to do this with him or nobody else.
It was almost 7.
Yeah, life is too short.
Yeah.
What you need to start doing is getting that relationship, getting that title and that commitment and that obligation and that responsibility. If a man will not accept the obligation, the responsibility, and the commitment of a relationship and an official title, stop wasting your time. You're not getting one. You're going to get fucked for 6 years.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get discarded.
Yeah.
And I'm just frustrated for people because I talk to woman after woman after woman.
It's my fault though, because I allowed.
Well, you share responsibility. Definitely. And it's mostly your fault because you haven't been getting what you've been asking for 6 years, and you've continued.
Right.
But you are not alone. If I've talked to 4,000 women, 3,000 of them were doing the same thing. Not for 6 years. Some were 17 years. Some were
And
3
then
years.
he
Some were
told
2 years. Some
I'm
were 9
sorry.
months.
Then
But
he told me, he was like, the reason why you're having such a difficult time with this is because for the last 4 or 5 years, I spent every birthday and every holiday with you. And so now you feel entitled, and I'm reclaiming
entitled.
my time.
You don't use the words entitled to a woman that you love. You use the words entitled to a subordinate that has gotten out of their place. So as much as I don't think you do yourself a favor in life if you never spoke to him again, but one can't believe that would happen. But I can tell you that from this point on, you are choosing to abuse yourself if you continue with this gentleman.
Yeah.
Because he will never commit to you, and he will always use you for whatever head or ass you give him, and support, finances, whatever you do for him, he'll keep taking that from you. When he gets tired, right now he's burnt out from playing too many women, so he needs to take a rest. He's on lunch break from being a player. But eventually he'll pick his pimp card back up in this pimp cup, and he'll get to pouring on all the women, all the game, and all the pizzazz and all the charm, and y'all fall for it. What I need you to do is stop trying to figure out how to earn a relationship. You cannot earn a relationship with a man. If a man has been screwing you for more than 3 months and he don't want a relationship, you'll never get one. Not in life, you won't.
Okay. Well,
Every
I've
time
been beating myself up, feeling like it was my fault. So I just needed some, I guess, the need to hear it from an outsider to tell me that.
absolutely. But you know, the one thing about this is, just like it was, you do share fault in this. Um, you also have the opportunity to change, to grow, to evolve, to make better decisions, right? So we can't really stay down too much about the time we wasted yesterday. We just don't want to waste tomorrow. We just don't want to
Right.
waste next week, next month, next year, you know. And
Right.
you have an opportunity every day. You have a chance and a choice. You have an opportunity to make better decisions, get with a better person, be a better person, become a stronger person, right? So this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to improve. It's an opportunity to evolve. Yes, you can mourn the lost time, but you only waste time that you don't grow, that you don't evolve, or don't grow and learn from and evolve from. So this is an opportunity. Take the opportunity. Be different. Do differently. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
No problem at all. Listen, I got to get off of here. Gene Will, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate all of y'all. Thank you for watching. Um, I'll try to get these things to be smoother. I'm on my phone. That's why I keep having these lapses and stuff like that, because I can't hear. Phone is just not a good thing. I tried to do it on my laptop, but I couldn't find a good signal. The hotel couldn't give me a good signal boost. So when I go back home, I'm going to do it on my laptop, and I'll be able to control a lot more. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to get